hi to everyone who is here in the chat. Peace and blessings to everyone. I am going to go ahead and mute that music so that you guys can hear me clearly. Welcome to another live with Hanifa Nayela. I am Hanifa Nayela. I'm sorry, I lotion my forehead be leading the way. So I lotioned up and my forehead just look a little shiny today. So forgive me. But I am glad to be here with you guys. The very last live of 2022. Cheryl, shout out to you. I see Dara Long left Kim and dropped some crowns up in the chat. Peace to you, Dara Long. Thanks for passing through and showing some early bird love. Appreciate it. Always appreciate the support. Guys, listen. Welcome to the live. Thank you for joining. Let me know you're here. It's all love, okay? Don't lurk. Do not lurk in the clouds. It's better down here. Come on out the clouds. Let us know you're here. Say hi. Say what's up. Today is going to be a really fun, light. Well, maybe light. I have some other women that are going to be joining me shortly. And it's open panel. So here's the thing, and I'm going to repeat this. If you have not been on my panel, you have not graced my panel with your presence all 2022, here is your last chance to grace the panel, to bless us with your presence for 2022, because it is open panel. I have some woman that's going to be up here with me having this good conversation, but I am opening it up. Opening it up. Let me slow my behind down. Opening it up. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. I am opening the panel to anyone that wants to jump on and join the conversation. Maybe the conversation will get real sweet and you're going to be like, I got again on this, I got again. So if you need us to tag you, and just be like, tag me in. And I'm going to drop the link and you could come in and hang out with us. Okay. Yes, it's going to be all women, but the men, the brothers are always welcome. You guys know that. So if you are a brother and you are listening, please do not feel excluded. It's just easier for me to find the women are just more accessible to me when it comes to organizing panels. So again, it is open panel. It is the last panel live discussion of 2022 here on this platform. It is going to be great. It's going to be a little fun. Few questions here and there, but it's going to be light. It's going to be fun. And we might get deep because it's kind of what we do over here, right? We don't play on the shores. We go in, we dive in. And so we might get a little deep today, and I'm fine with that, right? I'm fine. If you cannot swim, all right, get you a life jacket. So we might get a little deep, and that's okay. I see my good sister here, Inya. She says, welcome to tonight's conversation, the last one for 2022. Let it go, let go, and go. Please sit back and join in. We appreciate you for being here. And yeah, I appreciate you, my moderator, for being here. Bless you. Much blessings to you and upon your family. Thank you for always gracing the platform with your good energy. I appreciate you too much, so much, sister. So if you were not told today that you are loved, I am telling you, you are loved and appreciated. So I appreciate you, Enya. Thank you so much. We have Cheryl Lee, Peace Queen and Bliss Queen. Peace to you, Cheryl Lee. Thank you for passing through, always showing your love and your support. We have my little sister here. She said, hey. Okay, y'all, I'm the last one. I'll be punking them. That's my sister passing through and saying, hey. I always appreciate those long ass heys, where we can't just say H-E-Y. Be like, hey, E-E-E-E-Y. You know how we do as Black women. We just extra. It's extra for no reason. Hey, sis. Thanks for coming through. And then we have Cherokee Rose. Peace and power. Peace and power to you, too, sister. Okay? Peace and power reciprocated to you. Thanks for passing through and showing your love and your support. Again, guys, share up the things. Share the live. Put it out there on your platform. We want people to come through, have this conversation with us, enjoy this conversation. I'm waiting for a couple more people to come in, and we're gonna begin. But I see my good sister in the back sipping on some tea. I don't know what kind of tea, but it's tea. So I'm down with you. I don't know what she gave me. She gave me the shimmies and everything. Okay. Inya, yes. Peace and blessings to you, Inya. Okay, guys, I'm not even because we're gonna try to finish on time today. Okay, I want to be here no longer than at least 6:45, 7 o'clock. So we're gonna stay on task. I'm gonna bring my good sister up to the stage. None other than my aunt speaks. Hey, my aunt.
Please.
Blessings. How are you?
Yay.
My aunt come through with the hang time on the hair. Okay. I see you moving. You don't even know how to act. How you doing, sis? It's been a while.
Yes, it's always, it's always good to see you, talk to you.
Same here.
If I can, if you ask me, it's hard for me to say no to you.
We got about two more guests that's gonna be coming through with us. Inya, you see her showing off? Enya, you see her? It's like almost sitting on her shoulders already. If she just kind of look up to the heavens, it's right there on the shoulder. Look at her. Ah! Enya, you peeping, right? I know. My girl come through with the hang time. Guys, if you are just coming in, like I said, don't be lurking. Share up the things, send it out to your people, and come back, talk with us. I am going to be dropping the link throughout. We're gonna have a conversation. This is going to be fun. We're gonna do a little game with the ladies, okay? Just to keep the conversation flowing. Ma, how you been? Coming at the end of 2022, says.
Yeah, I'm doing well. We're in this just the energy of finishing this season out, So
Yeah.
I'm always looking forward to new cycles, new seasons. The closer we get to spring and summer, the better I feel.
Ooh, child. Are you already counting down to spring?
I am.
Girl, me too. Me too. And I am a straight spring. Like I'm the 23rd of March. I'm a spring baby. So yes, ma'am. I be like, okay. Come on now. I already told people I don't even acknowledge winter. Well, no, honestly, no. I'm sorry. It's not winter. It's only two seasons for me, summer and winter. I don't acknowledge. I just skip over spring, but because I feel like spring marks like summer is coming.
Yeah,
that's the only reason why I does acknowledge spring. And the funny thing is, when it comes to dressing, fall is my favorite season because I like to layer.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I like that. I like to mix up stuff and layer them, So I appreciate that. I see some new people just came in. Eyewitness say 2023 Babylon loading. Yo, I cannot. Hey, boo. I hope your eyes is on the road. All up in here. Okay. Hey, Annie. She says, hey, Hanifa. Hey, Annie. How are you? Thanks for passing through and showing love. Again, those of you guys that are just coming in, it is an open panel tonight. So feel free to join us. We are, so far, I only got it's going to be about 1, 2, 3, 4 of us sisters on this panel today. However, the panel will remain open. We're going to play a little game. Okay. And like I said earlier, we will get deep and that's okay. Because that's what we do over here. All right. Sometimes. Okay. So please, if you're not afraid of deep waters, please make sure you feel free to join us. Okay. But Annie, thanks for showing some support and love, sis. Appreciate you so much. She says, peace to my aunt speaks. Liberated soul. Peace to Sister Hanifa, Sister Ma'at, and the chat. Hope everyone is good. I hope you are good. Peace and blessings reciprocated to you, dear brother, for coming through and showing your love and your support. Oh, my husband says download Hanifa on all streaming platforms. Girl, he is put. Listen, my husband, if y'all didn't know, my husband made a song named Hanifa. There was a little video to go with it and everything. If you are nosy and you haven't seen it yet, just reach out to me. I will send it to you. But it is on all streaming platforms. The name of it is Hanifa, the one, the only. Mwah. Okay? It's beautiful, guys.
It is super dope.
You said what?
I said it's super dope.
No, it is. Talk was super dope. We're gonna get into that poem in a minute, but yes, yes, yes. So I appreciate you, my dear love. But I hope that your eyes is on the road because you were supposed to be driving. Um, we have DC Butler in the house. Hey, Darren. Darren said, peace, peace to you, my good brother. Always supporting 2022 coming to an end, guys. It is here. Well, the Gregorian calendar year is coming to an end. Okay, let's just put that out there. Enya said I want to see it. Enya, it's on all streaming platforms right now, Enya. So just look up Hanifa, and it is by Ja Eyewitness, and you'll see your girl all up in the video chat. But anyway, I'm gonna try to get it to you, Enya, because I know how to reach out to you. So I'm gonna try to get it to you as well. Okay, fun time, fun quick video we made to go with the song, and I was singing my own name in the shower the other day. You know what I'm saying? Because the song was on my mind, and I was like, "This is weird. Why am I singing my name?" But So okay. So while we wait, because I hope everything is okay, because I know one person is supposed to be a little bit late today. Um, and then the other one, I'm still waiting to see. I'm not sure. I didn't get any message or anything. So I hope all is well. But nonetheless, today I wanted to focus on our topic, which is let go. I mean, let go, and then go. That's what the theme for today is, because this is usually the time of the year where people begin to kind of like introspect, kind of reflect and introspect, right? Kind of look at some things, assess. It's almost like it's a winter cleaning, sort of like a release, the things that they do not want to take into the new calendar year with them. So people start to look over those things, and this is why I wanted to focus on it being let it go, let go, and then go. Because we got the let it go, we got the let go, but for some reason we don't talk enough about the go. Okay, because once you let go, now I'm gonna need you to move. All right, like that. What did I learn? This, I think it was New York. Is it New York? My aunt, what is it? Beat your feet.
Beat your feet? Oh, I
Yeah.
ain't that one.
Ooh, Louisiana. No, okay.
Let me ask my husband.
I think New York is beat your feet. Where did I learn beat your feet from? Oh Lord, help me, because I know it's not from St. Thomas. But anyway, yeah. Just wanted to have to. DC. I think my husband says DC.
Oh,
Beat your
okay.
feet.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that part of it where, there's a release, but then there's also a moving forward. After you've released, after you've Enya said nope, not New York City. After you've released, after you've moved on. So we're gonna play a little game. Like I say, I know one sister is gonna be a little bit behind. I am not sure what's going on with the other one. She might just be running a little bit behind today. But let me see. All right, I got it. Okay. All right. Just making sure. Oh, I ain't got no text yet. So my aunt, what do you think about the topic?
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing I do look at this time of year, because it's not natural to us, but since we're here, I think one time that I think of it, because I think of like dead, what things that die, things die in the fall and the winter, and so it's kind of like, what do you let it go to, like, what is kind of like that dead weight you, like what no longer needs, what no longer needs to have access to you, or what no longer you need to carry. A lot of times we end up carrying things that just they don't mean us any good. So what do I need to let go of that's kind of holding me back? Because even holding you back to becoming your God self, or becoming that divine person that you need to be, like, what do I need to let go, whether it's mentally, physically? So I think this is a great conversation to have right now in this time.
Yeah. And as you were speaking, I was like, even like the idea of like when certain seasons, because I'm very, very much big on life is very cyclical. Very seasonal. Um, oh, okay, got it. Very cyclical, very seasonal. And let me turn off my Bluetooth because it's coming through my speaker. Yeah, so for me, as you were speaking, what came to my mind is not even necessarily like the things. This is a time, the cold months is a time of going in, right, where some people will say hibernation, right, but it's which is introspection is going in. So this time of the year, the colder months, the more barren time of the year, is a time to introspect. It's a time to go within. It is the things that you have sowed in the spring, reaped in the summer, is now stored up for this time. So every the things that you've learned throughout the year, right? The things that you've gleaned, the things that you've stored up, right? Those are the things that are going to take you through the barren time of the year, right? The cold time of the year, the dark time of the year, right? What do they call it? The dark night of the soul, in a sense, it's sort of like, what have you acquired throughout the year to feast on during this time?
Right.
What have you stored up? What have you learned? And it's not just a thing of going out and gleaning. It's also the things, that the challenges that you faced. What have you acquired? What have you gained from those challenges? Right? What are the fruits that you have now stored up from those challenges, right? Those circumstances, those things that you went through, right? Those joyous moments, even. How have you filled yourself up to get you through the barren months? And then also too, remembering that this time of the year, in order to get through it, you can't dress the same way that you did in the summer season and the spring season, right? There's a different dress code required for this time of the year. And when we say year, we're not talking calendar year, we're talking seasonal. Right. We're talking right. Okay. So you just, if we're gonna connect to nature, you look at nature is teaching us that lesson. What happens during this time, right, of your life, when you are having a dark night of the soul, when you are feeling like you're not producing anything, when you're feeling barren, not necessarily. Barrenness don't always have to do with fertility, right? Sometimes barrenness is, I feel stuck. I feel like I'm in a rut. I feel like I can't give birth to something that I know is inside of me. You know what I'm saying? And so nature teaches us what is required of us during these seasons of our lives. And for me, this season is, I can't dress. The dress code for summer doesn't apply to this season, right? You're gonna have to add on some things, right? You're gonna have to change up the way you dress, or else you're gonna just suffer the consequences of that. And it's just a reminder that different seasons require different things.
Right.
Different seasons require you to show up differently. You get what I'm saying? Different seasons demand certain things from you that other seasons may not have, right? So that's that. As you was talking, that's the reminder that kind of came to my mind. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I'm going. I have a little stream of consciousness going here, but
yeah, I mean, it makes me think of, even because I finally stopped being so hard on myself, because I take holistic health and the way that I eat, all of those things, the way our family eats, I take that seriously. But as much as like the amount of activity that I've been doing, as far as like, because I went into the fitness industry and all of that, like the amount of activity that I've been doing in this season is very different than the amount of activity that I do in the spring and summer. And so what's happened with that, I was like really being hard on myself. I'm like, no, I'm eating differently. I'm working out differently. I don't have the energy to just be like, I'm about to go to the gym, and then also it gets dark like so early. Feel that. And you're like, it's 6 o'clock, but it feels like it's 10 o'clock. So I have to understand. I've been trying to understand that this is the season, and you don't show up the same way in the summer, the spring and summer, that you show up in the fall and winter, and you're not supposed to show up the same way.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And so understanding the foods that you're supposed to eat
Yeah.
in the fall and winter, it's going to look different than in the spring and summer. You know, you're not about to be eating a watermelon in fall and winter. And if you are, you're probably eating something that is not natural, you know. You know, honoring that, and even honoring that, okay, I'm not eating the same. I'm not eating as good as I would probably eating, and I'm not always feeling that energy to move. Goes back to that hibernation. What are you doing during these months to prepare yourself for the spring and summer, and vice versa, because you also do certain things to prepare you for the fall and winter. So, you know, I think of it like reciprocity. It's a reciprocal exchange. You are always going through cycles and seasons, and honoring each cycle and season, and being okay with not showing up that same way through each season. We just had a conversation with our girls about that. Like, just understand that sometimes you just got to get past this season.
You know,
go ahead.
The word that stood out for me, let me take a pause for the cause real quick, because I see somebody new came in. Actually, I see Mr. DeWitt. Peace, my dear brother. He says, peace to the panel and Hanifa at my ad speaks. Peace, Mr. DeWitt. I cannot wait to meet you guys in the spring, because I will be there.
Okay.
Oh, I'm coming. Hey, Mikey Story. Peace and blessings, Hanifa. Peace to you as well. There's something that you said that I wanted to touch on real quick. You mentioned the word honor. I like that word, because one of the things that Spirit has been kind of dealing with me with, is this idea that we have of always, we use the word, I gotta master this and master that. And Spirit is really trying to teach me right now in this season of my life about harmonizing versus mastering. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, dang, what that look like though? You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's the idea, like you were saying, honoring that hey, because you and this is a part of my game that I have for you guys anyway, but it's really acknowledging where, you know, and I'm gonna go the Bible here, where I think this is Proverbs, where it talks about, no, this might be Ecclesiastes, a time for everything under the sun. Okay, Ecclesiastes, right? I'm right? Okay, all right, go ahead, Bishop. But this idea of there's a time for everything, right? And really using discernment. And so what that means is, that if it is a time, if it's time for the sun to be out, it's daytime. There is no, you're wasting energy complaining about the day. You're wasting energy cursing the sun. You're wasting energy wishing that the moon will come out, right? Versus just saying, how do I cooperate with that reality, with that truth, which is, this is daytime, okay? Right. It's the same thing with the seasons in your life, like you was talking about, being honoring those things. Like we're talking about, it's winter. Listen, you could buck up against winter if you want. You could decide that you're gonna go and you're gonna wear your bikini outside in the winter if you want. You can try it if you want. Just let me know how that work out. Right. What happens though when you don't honor that season is you make it more difficult. You make life more difficult for yourself. Okay. Oh, I figured that much. Okay. So I had two miscommunications. So the one sister said she thought it was 6, and the other one also thought it was 6. So they're on their way. So which is fine. But thinking that, let me just let her know. So yeah, considering that, you know, winter time, you know, you could dress however you want. Right? You could decide that you're gonna just, you know, you're gonna buck up against winter. Who is winter to tell you how to dress and all of that? Or we can do what you just spoke on, which is to honor the season. And how do we honor? We cooperate with it. Right. We cooperate with it by dressing accordingly. So it's the same thing with your seasons in your life. You could decide and say, and this takes discernment, that season, it might be a time for you to sit your ass down somewhere.
Yeah.
Now you could decide I'm not sitting down, I'm standing up. Well, you know what? Then you deal with whatever that friction creates between you and what that cycle or that season in your life demands of you. That's totally up to you. But I'm gonna welcome my other sister. I just see her in the back. None other than the wireless woman. Hey
Hey,
sis,
hey. Hello, hello,
how are
my
you?
aunt. I am so happy to finally meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I just love your content and thank you, Hanifa, for having me.
You're welcome.
So happy to spend the last full day, I guess, of New Year's before the New Year's with you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming through. Wait, give me pause for the cars real quick. Hey, Iyapo. Thanks for passing through and showing us some love. We appreciate you there. And then we have the intellectual soapbox saying salute to Hanifa Nayela. Sautuma I speak. Hey, intellectual soapbox. Thanks for coming through and showing us some love and support. So, the wireless woman, you are just jumping in. We are literally just discussing the seasons, literally the seasons, and then the seasons of life. And we're just talking about how, I, for one, I believe that life is cyclical. You know what I'm saying? There are things that you find repeat themselves. Of course, I feel like things that we have not resolved often show back up again. So it might be that ex that you have, you're like, whoo, I'm glad I'm over that. But you haven't addressed the part of yourself that attracted that person in the first place. And so then next season around, you meet somebody else who is your ex with a different face, and probably a different swag. Nonetheless, same energy. Okay. And so you're like, what the hell is this? Because I believe that life is cyclical. I think that those things don't come back around after we have made peace and resolve those things. However, we're talking about really honoring those seasons in our lives as they come. So we were talking about how winter is here, and you could decide that you can wear a bikini outside right now if you want. Feel free to do so, but let us know how uncomfortable that's going to be if you do that. Okay, so not bucking up against the seasons, but acknowledging the seasons. This is the season that I am in right now in my life, and what does this season require of me, and honoring that and cooperating with that. What do you think about that?
Well, one thing I will say is I like being on this panel because I think we exhibit as women different seasons, like the things that my aunt brings in her content, the things that you bring, Hanifa, in yours, the things that I bring. It goes to show how women are just the gambit of seasons. We're each in certain seasons of our lives. But on one of my episodes, can't remember which one right now, but I talked about how winter is a time where people need to rest. Like, we have to recognize when certain things in our life has died, because that death is the energy that we use for resurrection. And I was saying a lot of women are out here now in battles that they shouldn't even be fighting because they're in the wrong season of their life. A lot of people don't recognize that bears don't really attack people in wintertime because they're hibernating, So you think to yourself like, oh, winter is this terrible time of the year. No,
Right.
When a lot of things for your life can calm down, give you the opportunity to grow, to replant for the next season, but you still out here wanting to act like it's summer in wintertime, and you're missing these opportunities to rest. So I definitely think women need to, and I talked about the seasons of your life. Menopause is a season that's given to you as a woman to say, okay, it's time to rest from, your reproductive years. It's time to turn over a new leaf. So I definitely think that we as women, when we're disconnected from nature, from our feminine nature, we definitely will find ourselves doing things out of season and then reaping what we sowed by not taking those opportunities when they presented themselves.
I like that. I like how you put that with the dare. I love that. The season that you're supposed to be resting, you're here flinging fists. Hey, Nzinga, can you hear us?
Yes, can you ladies hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You just unmuted, but you were a little frozen for a quick second. How you feeling?
Yes, ladies, I feel wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, and I apologize for my tardiness.
It's all right. It was a miscommunication because the wireless woman thought it was a 6 as well. So my apologies to you, ladies. Let me make sure I said that. Right now, we are talking about seasons of our lives, and we're connecting it with the seasons just within nature. how we have spring and summer and winter. I be skipping fall, y'all. Fall and winter. And kind of how we can connect well, how that translates into our lives in general being cyclical and learning how to handle those seasons when they come into your life. And so the wireless woman was just, well, my aunt has started off talking about honoring, and I like that word. I like that word. Honoring those seasons in your life, because when I hear honoring, I hear cooperation. I hear, what is this season here to teach, right? And it's like entering into the classroom of that season, right? So that's honoring to me. And then the wireless woman just came in and kicked some sweet knowledge to us, and talk about us being in the wrong seasons. You out here in a bikini in winter, girl. What are you doing? So and so we're just kind of bringing it full circle, and so we're talking about that. If you wanna add to that, if not, I'm gonna play a game with you guys, because I know Nzinga, I know you gotta leave. Well, no, you good. You good. Okay. So I also want to play like a quick game with you guys. But Nzinga, what do you think about seasons in our lives and really like honoring them and discerning what season you are in and what you should be doing in that season? Oh, is she frozen?
I would say hopefully I'm not choppy. My internet signal is pretty strong, but I know when you were just speaking, it was a little choppy. So hopefully I'm not too choppy. But basically, what the ladies just now added on, I had an opportunity to already be on a show with Sister Ma'at, who I love. I love her show. I love her content, everything that she shares. This is my first time with the wireless woman, who sounds, first of all, you're beautiful. And then also just listening to when I came in, well, because
you're going in and out, Nzinga.
She always attracts amazingness. But I just wanted to say, in terms of
wait, Nzinga, you're choppy. I don't know if you have to move.
Necessary.
Wait, can you hear me?
Sorry. That's what I would add.
Okay.
That season is necessary. Try.
Can you hear me, sis? Yeah, you're in and out. We can't really hear you.
Hate when that happens.
I know. So if you want to go out and come back in, that's fine, Nzinga. Maybe you have to move in another location.
I'm going to change. Yes,
okay, you do that. We'll be here. Okay. So while she work on that. Okay. Okay. So while she work on that, guys, I have when she get back, I want us to play a little game. So what I have done is I have some presents here. Not presents, but I have some number stuff, and you guys, it's from number 1 to 11, and I'm gonna allow you guys to pick a number so that we can pop off some conversations. And I just pulled from some of my stuff that like sometimes I'll post statuses. I pull from those, and I just kind of want us to kind of expound on those things, just the thoughts about that. But before we get there, I want you guys to talk to me about the letting it go piece. Okay. What are some topics? Because we are all content creators here. That you're just like, you know what? Let me take a pause for the cause real quick. Hey, Yellow. Thanks for coming through. He said, shout out to Honey.
Hey, Yellow Peel.
Hey, Yellow. Thanks for coming through and showing some support, sir. I appreciate you. I already see the wireless woman face, right? So what are some things that you guys want us as a collective of people of color, Black people, you want us to just hang it up for 2020, just leave it in 2022? Just what comes to you guys' mind? Let me know, and tell me why too. Any of you guys can jump in.
I don't mind. I know for me, I am moving to a new city. We talked to you about that offline. And so I really want to be able to let go of the toxic patterns that we have. We talk a lot about detoxifying, but I feel like I spent so much of 2022 having a detox that it's really making me trace the line back and say, why do I even have so much toxicity in my life that I feel like I need to detox at that level? And a lot of it is the things that, I'm allowing to come into my ear gate, my heart gates, and in 2020, I went through a separation and a subsequent divorce. I went through my father passing at the same time. So I know for me, letting go has been a long process of very tiny baby steps. But as I'm going from this season of my life into, going back to college and getting educated, being a homeowner, going to a new city, a new job, I really want to make sure that, how when you first move into a new house, you want everything to be super clean, and that requires you changing all the dirty habits that you have. You got to really be honest with yourself about carrying yourself to a place, because my therapist and I talked about it, and my therapist always says, wherever you go, there you are. The dirt that is in the old house that I'm leaving is mine. So now if I'm going to go into this clean place and keep it clean, I'm going to really have to trace the areas of toxicity in my life in order to make sure that the behavior changes so that the outcome is different.
So what I heard was if you want the place to be clean, then you need to clean you. It's your dirt. It's not the dirt of the place, it's your dirt.
And I would only come on your platform and say that, because over on my platform, baby, I am not the problem. I am not the problem.
Yes, I love that though. I love that wherever you go, there you are. Because it's sometimes we have an issue of accountability sometimes. And I think for me personally, I think a part of it is in the areas that we have a struggle with owning shit and being accountable. Those are the areas that have a lot more pain than others. And so because to be accountable in that particular area of your life is going to require you to probably deal with some wounds, you know what I'm saying, that you've been covering up. And so what we do, accountability is just a lack of accountability is just to create space between what's going on in your life and that pain. So it's like, no, not me. So that's you saying, stay over there, don't come over here. At least for me, that's how I see the areas that I tend to fight being accountable in are often areas that I need to address, that for whatever reason I'm refusing to address. So I appreciate that. Like the dirt piece, that analogy is very important. How dare you demand the house to be clean with your dirty ass, right? Pretty much. Okay. What about you, Zinga? We just talking about whether it's a topic, just as a collective, individually, things that you really want to see us let go of, topics. Three of us on here are content creators, so I'm sure Wireless Woman have some topics that she's like, please surrender that, please just let it go. But that's what we're talking about right now. You can go ahead, and then Zinga.
Yeah, so I do love what you said about the detox piece, because a lot of times we end up kind of continuing to detox from the same thing. Like when you detox your liver, when you go back to detox again, it shouldn't be in the same condition as it was when you first detoxed it. It should be in a better condition so it doesn't take as long, to detox. And so a lot of times if we're continuing to detox from the same people, the same things, the same, then you have to question, what are you doing that you have to take that time to kind of go back to the beginning. And so in this space, me and my husband were talking about, even within our relationship, like using specific language, because what happens is that you start arguing over things because you're just not being specific, So when we talk about in this space, a big one is like the masculinity versus femininity. And, we talk about it in a very general way, as opposed to actually using specific language. And we want to be in these spaces, we want to be triggering because that brings entertainment.
Absolutely.
But how do we have more productive conversations? By saying, instead of saying, I'm not going to ever say to my husband, right? Like, I need you to be more masculine. And I need you to be more feminine, right? We can use specific language and saying, in this certain situation, maybe I need you to be more assertive, because he can say that to me. I need you to be more assertive. And this is how you be more assertive with the children. Not, I need you to use your masculine energy. No, you be assertive, right? Or if he's, instead of saying feminine, I need you to be more feminine, he would say, hey, I need you to like not being so aggressive right now, right? Like, there are ways to have these conversations and use them with more specificity. Be specific, because that leads to actually having productive conversations and actually coming to solutions and actually not having the same conversations over and over again. And are we doing it for entertainment, or are we actually doing it to evolve the conversation?
Yeah. What I heard from that too, as I wrote down, I said, name things as they are. As they are. But you know what, as you were speaking, I was thinking generally how so many of us struggle with that just in general in life. Because when you ask people, people are like, well, when you ask them, what do you want? No, really, what do you want? Name it. It's usually these very abstract, vague. No. Name the thing that you want, right? Or we have so many people within our collective. I often say there's a lot of people that we think are angry, but they're really sad.
Yeah. Yep.
But they're unable to identify because we have you're either happy or you're mad. You know what I'm saying? What is sad? What is that? Sadness is seen as weakness. So to be able to identify that you experience that, for a lot of our people, is to admit, quote unquote, weakness. So it's like it end up being expressed as anger, just like they say, like they tell you when sometimes you think you're hungry but you're just thirsty.
Yeah.
It's like that. I think sometimes there are people, and I've been there, where I've become very uncomfortable and agitated and not realizing that I was sad. But I've learned to not fight with or against my emotions, but to sit with them and just listen to what they've come to teach, because usually they're just there passing through. Okay, I like to say our emotions are very nomadic. Okay, they're just coming through. They're gonna tell you what they came to tell you, teach you what they came to teach you, and we are supposed to let them go about their business. But if you are taught not to face them, not to deal with them, not to converse with them, in fact, to act like they don't even exist, what happens to them? Because they're nomadic. Now they don't set up shop in you, and that's not what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now we're sitting there and it's festering and it's turning into something else. So for me, it's like, it's not just, I see you, wireless woman. It's not just, it's you talking about in this space, but I think we have that problem in general, and it affects the way we communicate with each other, both men and women, woman to woman, men to men, men to woman. It affects and it's not a deliberate dishonesty. I just think that people have a communication problem, and we have an issue with just naming. Just naming things as they are. That's it. Nzinga, and then I'm going to come back to the wireless woman. Yep, you got unmute. Nzinga? Oh.
Can you hear me?
Your turn. Yeah, we can.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you're freezing up still, though.
With this computer. So,
yeah, you're still choppy. What is happening?
Oh my God.
You maybe
and
have
she's
to move
coming
to another
in and
area
out too. Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm gonna try.
Yeah, try to move somewhere else and see what happens. I'll come
Or
back
try
to you.
your phone. She should try her phone as well.
Oh, they said to
Log
try
in
your
from my
phone.
phone.
Yeah, that might help. You might
Yeah,
get a
I'm
stronger
gonna have to try
signal.
from my phone because
Okay,
I don't know what's going on at this point.
I'm gonna come back to you.
Okay, I'm gonna log
Absolutely.
in from my
Go ahead.
phone.
Okay, go ahead, the wireless woman. Wait,
Intellectual.
Yellow say it's the retrograde. I'm done. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually trying to apologize because I was letting you know I'm keeping my microphone off because they're doing work all around my house. They about tore the whole house down. So,
I
but
can't hear it. Go ahead.
yeah, it's loud to me, so hopefully no one else can hear it but me. But I was gonna tag on to what you were saying about sometimes we think people are angry who are sad, but we also have a problem as Black people because we have been taught and it's been so deeply ingrained in us that we're traumatized that a lot of times it's not trauma, it's grief.
That's a good
And
point.
when my therapist took me through a grief process, I didn't even know. I didn't know how to grieve. And we even look at like Kendrick Lamar's latest album that he came out with. The first song on it was United in Grief. And he was talking about how I grieve different. And he spoke to Black men being in these grief processes. And because we're so used to dealing with certain things as a trauma response, we don't actually know how to grieve because grief deals with everything you just talked about, which is integrating the shadow. If you run from those things, because we'll say, I'm going to cut this person off, I'm going to cut this off, I'm going to cut this off, I'm going to cut this off. And then you look at your tree has no limbs on it. And you never address the root system at all. You just cut off what turns brown and keep watering. And grief really allows you to actually go to the place of what you lost and celebrate it. Understand that part of having what you need comes from lack. Part of becoming the person you need to be comes from mistakes. You know, that those ups and downs are a part of the process. The day and the night is the day. It's not just sunshine all the time. You have to have those dark times. It's not just summer all the time. Going back to what you said about seasons, you have to have winter in order to have a spring that brings forth real life. And so grief helped me to understand that anything I love, I will lose. I will lose it. So now I appreciate it in those moments while I have it. I give people their flowers while those flowers are still alive so that when they're cut and they die, you will have celebrated the life of the thing before it ends, you know. So I think that's the takeaway from even what you were saying, because everyone who's trying to keep running from that grief, I find a lot of times, are the people that are the saddest and the angriest. And with us losing, you know, Twitch and seeing a lot of Black men during this season being carted off to prison because of that anger response, there has to come a place where we really, as women, deal with that grief and be the leaders in showing them this is what it looks like, because we truly are united in that grief.
I would like to say something to that. I know Nzinga has to speak, but I want to speak
Sure,
to
my aunt, and then Nzinga.
Oh, okay. So the one thing I wanted to add to that is I think that it's kind of we're saying the same thing, right? Like when we even talk about trauma, it is like the trauma is there, but the grieving process is not happening. So, you know, whatever it is, because even when you're talking about like letting go of let's just say a person, right? Like, so I have to let this person go because this person is adding an imbalance to my life. You know, I cannot get peace around this person. Well, and that person might have caused you some trauma in your life, but that process that you have to go to let that person go, because death, right, can be traumatic, because also we have a weird perspective. Let me be very specific. We have an imbalanced perspective on actually death. So a lot of times when we talk about like someone dying, we're not necessarily losing if we have that paradigm of where it's not a very centered, a balanced paradigm centered around death. It ends up being where we think we are losing ourselves. We just have to understand how to navigate that, and also how to still incorporate that person that we lost, because it's just a new relationship now. So you have a new relationship, even though that person is no longer with you. So grief, we have to learn how to grieve properly, because even with a person that is no longer, that person can no longer be in my life. I don't have any ill will towards that person, but you still have to grieve through that process, because that person that you love can no longer be in that process. So it's the way that we deal with trauma. It's kind of like the grief is a byproduct of that trauma, and we have to understand how to actually kind of like navigate through it, as opposed to just calling it trauma and be like, well, we all we just gone through trauma, that's the way we are. That's the issue that we're having in our community. We are acknowledging the trauma, but we are not understanding the process to go through and process the trauma. You're on mute, Hanifa.
My apologies. I'm gonna let Nzinga jump in because, girl, you moving now. You moving. You ain't even freezing no more, girl.
Well, first of all, listen, y'all gonna have to catch me up on the conversation, because I'm like, I left out. We was talking about toxicity. Had to jump out, then came back in. We was talking about I'm assuming things that we have to let go of, and then had to jump out, came back in. So,
well, you can jump in, because we kind of digressed a little bit, but it's still the same conversation. We were talking about letting go, things that you would like us, whether it could be individually, or as a collective, conversations that you are so over, things within your own self, whatever it is, just throw it out there. We were just out going around and asking, what are yours? So,
I think if I had to say something that I definitely have to let go of, I think my aunt spoke about it a little bit. I think it is just kind of like the repeating of certain situations. Now, sometimes it could be a different face, it could be a different thing, but in essence, it's the repeating of the outcome of which no longer is serving you. So I would say for me, it would definitely be like being able to, things that I just know is not going to work out for me, not even engaging in such a way that I know that I'm going to get the same outcome. So I guess I would say, y'all talking about being intentional about what you say. So I guess I would say, letting go of bad cycles. I use the word bad. I don't know what word to use necessarily. Poor cycles, bad cycles, unproductive cycles, cycles that I know that aren't going to serve me. And I'm saying cycles in terms of the people that I allow in my space, foods that I eat, things that I may watch, things that I just know is not going to take me to where I ultimately desire to be. And I would say that for me. But then on a outside looking in thing, or people that I've talked to and build with, I would say I was just having a conversation with one of my sister friends, and we was talking about having relationships, because sister, the wireless woman, she just now made oh my God, this was my first time hearing this. It was so profound. First and foremost, Hanifa, you be having some powerhouses on your show. Let me tell you. Like, first of all, you a whole powerhouse. It take one to know one, right? You be having some whole powerhouses on your show. So if I'm saying this correctly, the wireless woman said, the therapist said, can y'all please say that for me again? Just what the therapist said about
wherever you go,
there you are. There you are. Yes. And so when I hear that, I was just having a conversation with one of my sister friends, and we was talking about, basically, if some situations had happened that she's going through, and we was just talking about the fact that this cycle that keeps kind of like repeating itself with the same person, though, it's the same person. And I was talking to her, and I'm just like, well, why do you keep going back to keep dealing with this, right? But then there it is. Wherever you go, there you are. Did I mess that up? No.
No, you good. You good.
So what it is we can't run away from ourselves.
Mhm.
The things that we need to, work on, pay attention to, like you were just talking about Hanifa, give attention to. We have to really be in the business of doing that, because otherwise the cycle is just gonna, every year, 2023 coming up, we like, I'm gonna stop doing this, I'm gonna cut this out and cut that out, and then 2024 we saying the same thing that we just said 5 years ago. And it's just these cycles of unproductive that's happening. And so then you start thinking, like, is growth really happening? Because if growth is really happening, then it becomes a point where those issues no longer are issues. Now you're on to the next issue, like Mott was just now saying. So I think for me, I would just say getting very clear about the cycles that's no longer working in my life, and be willing and brave enough and courageous enough to take myself out of the equation, even within myself, whatever that is within myself that attracts this way of being, these people, this thing, really, really, really get so in tune with myself to where I'm breaking those cycles, So I think that would be the biggest for me.
I was listening to you speak, and the first thing that came to my mind was changing the narrative. So you ever seen those cartoons where the person is just going along and there's a narrator telling that person's story? And that's what came to my mind, where sometimes it's like it could feel like that. Like you are in auto drive. You're not even in auto drive, you're in the passenger seat. Okay. Somebody else is driving. You don't really know. Sometimes it's your own damn shadow driving, just so you know, because you ain't doing your shadow work. But your shadow is driving the car, and you're just there, you sleep, you wake up, but someone else is narrating the story. And I think the key thing to changing the narrative is to make sure that you are the narrator of the narrative. I think that's the key part of it, because.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Hanifa.
Sure.
The question is, how, look, now, I took the host mic real quick.
No, you're fine. Go ahead. I love it. Let's do it.
The question is, what are some things that we can begin to do to be more intentional about narrating our stories, about narrating our lives?
Well, so one of the things that I wrote down, because I was getting there, I think of, when we say cycles, I think of circles, right? And a circle is a continual thing. The only way to break a circle is you have to break it open. So that means that you're going to have to change something in there to change the cycle. Okay, so how do you narrate? You could decide at any time that you don't like this direction that this damn story is going in. Because here's the thing, when other people tell your story, and I keep saying this, and write your story, I tell people all the time, people will put commas where periods should be and put periods where commas should be. When you allow people to tell your story, they will put periods where commas should go and put commas where periods should go. So here they're saying, I'm just going to go ahead and put a period. They're writing you off. You're dead. You out the game. You ain't got nothing else to say. That's the end of the story. Because they're determining that. But here you are. You still got life. You still got more love to give. You still got more in you. Okay, you had some bad relationships, and so I want to be married again. And you get what I'm saying? You put a period there. You counting me out because you telling me you don't marry. You got 3 kids. You don't marry 2 times. Go sit down. Says who? I get to decide that. I get to decide that the comma goes there.
That's right.
So it's you can't be nice about your narrative. You got to snatch your narrative back. Because the reality is somebody has your narrative and somebody's telling your story, they're a thief. They've stolen it. It doesn't belong to them. So you don't have to get permission to get it back at any given time. You could decide that you're going to flip the page. You could actually decide, you know what, this is the end of this chapter, chapter 3. And so it was. You could decide, you know what, I'm going to add some more to this chapter before I close it out because I want to end this chapter with a bang. Nobody gets to decide that. You do. So this thing, when you talk about narratives, you can't be nice about your narrative. You can't ask politely back for your narrative. You don't go and say, can I have my narrative back, please?
I'll say.
So you're going to have to be fierce about what belongs to you, right? Because Only you know how you want this story to go. Only you know how you want this story to end. Only you know when a chapter ends and another chapter begins, because you determine that. That's kind of how that works. You get what I'm saying?
So can I add something to that?
So 1 minute, I'll come to you, and I see you wireless as well. So when it comes to that practical steps, snatch your shit back. And unapologetically snatch your shit back. How do you do that? You start writing. Literally journaling and writing, meaning that you start to create your own reality. Then the wireless woman say, she's moving. That's a change in the narrative. I'm packing my shit and I'm moving somewhere else. I'm going back to school. That's a change in the narrative. That doesn't mean that here's and this is the last thing I'm going to say. Here's what I learned about narratives. There are people who are benefiting or rejoicing, who are happy about the way your story been going. So now that you decide that you're going to change the narrative, do you know what they're going to decide to do? They don't want to read the rest. So what they're going to do is keep regurgitating chapter 1 and chapter 2. You don't move down to 3, 4, and 5. And they're still back there in chapter 1 and 2. And that's okay. That's their business. Your business is to make sure that you finish your book. Your business is to make sure that you change your narrative. Let them linger in chapter 1 and chapter 2. And one of the things that I have on here in the little game that we're going to play, a part of it is that everybody, some people who was worthy of reading chapter 1 don't get access to chapter 2. And that's okay.
Ashe.
But go ahead, my aunt, and then wireless woman. I hope I said something in Zynga. I don't know, but I just went with what.
Yes, I felt that fire. Basically, what I heard was finish your book. That's what I heard. Finish that book.
Go get your shit.
Fire. Right. go get it,
wireless woman. And then we're gonna jump into this game, guys.
You kind of went to where I was going, but what I was thinking of when you were speaking was you also have to be okay with letting people write whatever narrative they want to write about you, and you don't care what narrative it is, because people will be saying things about you and you are not in the room to hear it. You know, it's kind of like a conversation as a content creator. Anything could be going around. People could be reacting to our stuff all over the world and you don't even know it. And you have to be okay with letting whatever narrative is being said when you're not in the room. And then even going to what Hanifa said, like people who were there for your chapter 1. I was thinking about this yesterday. Like if you're on a stage, you know, and you're performing, who is your front row people? A lot of times, or the, front few seats, right? Who you gonna give tickets to? Who's going to even be invited? A lot of times we are trying to impress people or care about what people say, who are not even going to be invited to the performance.
Who are your VIP?
Right. We're not going to be able to come backstage and have a conversation with you. And we caring about what they say about our lives. You have to we have to start not caring, whoever that person is, whether they're related to you, whether they're your friends, whether they were there at some point in your life, whether they saw you at your lowest, whoever it is, it does not matter. You have to just be like, I don't care what you think, what you say, the whispers that you are talking about me, they don't even matter. It only matters, a lot of times I say, we tell our kids, like, at the end of the day, we're trying to impress y'all. We're not necessarily trying to impress people on social media. We were talking to them today, and I said, don't get it twisted. Like, when I'm on My Aunt Speaks, it's about y'all. I want you to be able to come to this content later on and be able to glean something from it. You're going to be like, this is what my mother and this is what they built, what our parents built. It's about y'all. It's about the future generations. It's not about the person who wanted to see you fall or your downfall. It's about the next generation, the people who you're close to, the people that you love, the people who are surrounding you. That is what's about. You build your community with whom you want to build your community with. And whoever don't want to be there, that's fine. And don't care about that story that they're creating to make themselves feel better about their choices.
Thank you, Maat. I like that. Oh, you guys are giving it today. The wireless woman, you are up, and then we're gonna get into this game. Go ahead.
Well, if it's up, then it's stuck. Well, then I am like the dark man X over here. Because I can honestly say for me, my whole approach, I was listening to you talk and I was smiling so hard, Hanifa, because you were in my lane. You know, that is my jam. I have been resting. And someone has woke the sleeping giant. So I know over on my channel, I am not going to be deliberate about what I say. I am going to be reckless, all right about around the mouth. You were talking about saying things for shock value. And what's crazy is I love coming on channels like yours, Hanifa. You know, I always see you messages behind the scene about how I love the energy that you bring as a host. And I can come over here and let people know I actually do have good sense. But unfortunately, over on my channel, we are all about deconstruction. So I'm literally what my sign says, burning down the house over there. I feel like in this new chapter that we're going into as women, we're the only people on this planet that possess yin dark energy, which is the chaos energy. When God spoke into the darkness of the void and he said, let there be light, that big bang reaction that scientists talk about that created this universe we live in is chaos. People don't feel that out of chaos can come order. But for me personally, and I speak on it because a lot of people don't know my background. There just never ever is room in what I'm talking about on my channel to speak to it. But I was a child of abuse and domestic violence. Like I see it very differently from other people because the one thing that always signaled danger in my home was silence. If I came home and no one was talking, things were quiet, I knew somebody was in a mood. I knew something was getting ready to go down. Something was getting ready to go down. So the one thing I feel like signals a healthy, happy home is that noise, is that sound. You see it in children when they feel like they can come into the classroom and, you know, they're beating on the tables and all that different stuff. There's a time for order. There's a reason for order. And the yang white light energy is there to balance out chaos. But everything creative, bringing forth a child, you know, most of us on here are mothers, you know, that's chaos. And out of that chaos, all children are born. And so I think we as women have to recognize that we have, because it's the craziest thing. I sit with people and they're always like, oh my gosh, you're so soft and delicate and feminine. And so for me, when she talked about writing that book, like I've written several books, and you gotta be willing to get your hands dirty. You gotta be willing to give yourself the chaos. And so I challenge on my channel females to go to places, go to dark places, light places, go in the, you know, alleyway, go to a place you would never go to and find out who you really are. Because some people found out in the midst of chaos who they were and they didn't like it. They didn't know that if this situation happened this way, this would happen to me. It's a side note. I promise I'm not gonna chase a rabbit on your channel. I promise I won't. This lady came in my office today and she was telling me about her ex. She found out her ex was cheating and she burned all his clothes. Okay. There's so much there, won't go. And it made me realize I've never been cheated on, right? So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, man, like I'm listening to her talk and I was like, ooh, burn the clothes, burn the clothes. So most of us have never tested the limits of who we really, really are. And I think you have to be willing to get outside the box and face things that you're afraid of. Because like you said, Hanifa, we as women have to bring that fierceness. Where is it going to come from? We're not even socialized that way. So I think now in 2023, in the year of our Lord, we have the opportunity to throw off a little bit of restraint and actually find out who am I underneath the facade that I've built that fits the box in the gilded cage that we're trying to be in. Because honestly, in our community, you know, I went and watched Wakanda Forever, and my video comes on later on tonight if y'all want to check it out. And I cried for the first time on my platform because it made me recognize we as women are going to be called upon to deliver our nation and our communities, because there just really isn't the fortitude there for us to do it. We're watching, the guy he was at the football game and the white woman was all in his face. We're watching these other communities of women be embracing behind their male group to really just talk reckless to everybody. You saw how they was talking about us on the Black Girl Follow train. So it's like, but we're sitting here like, let's be submissive. Let's be docile. Let's be quiet. Let's not say anything. Let's not make anyone mad. And I think that when it comes to us being able to plug back into Black power, it's going to be that feminine, dark, yin, shadow, chaos energy that is going to finally reinvigorate Black power. The Black Panthers were 60% women, and that's where I'm wanting to see us go. Is Nzinga, is the N silent? I must know.
No, Nzinga.
Nzinga. Okay. Yeah. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, beautiful.
And that's that language. I talk about the chaos all the time. So
go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just because I speak on that a lot is the chaos, and that actually like the shout out to my hubby of 15 years. We just celebrated our 15th anniversary. That was kind of I spoke to like the dedication. I was saying like within our relationship, that chaos is what brings that order, right? Like you have to get through that chaotic chaos. That's the beauty of even homeschooling our children. You see the chaos within, and then when you finally start seeing that structure and that order coming from that chaos, and it's a beautiful thing to actually see. That's why it goes back to this conversation. It goes back to sometimes you just got to get through those seasons. And sometimes those seasons last multiple years, sometimes those cycles last multiple years, and getting through that and understanding and navigate. And that's why in our community, we have to understand how to navigate through an environment that's not natural, an environment that is constantly traumatic to us, traumatic to our spirits, to who we are, to every kind of like our being, and how to navigate through that. And just like the wireless woman said earlier, learning how to grieve through those processes, because out of that, like you said, the darkness, right? The darkness is a beautiful place to be. That's where life is created. Life comes from the darkness. And so understanding how to navigate through those processes in order to get to the structure, the order, because creation in itself is a chaotic process.
Yeah, it's very interesting you guys are talking about the darkness, because that's my playground, y'all. That's my playground. I love it. I love the darkness. And I want to say in the last couple of years, maybe the last 3 years, I would say is where I've really become really comfortable with the darkness. I'm very comfortable there. I love my solitude. I love to retreat there. That is where I get my greatest downloads. That is where I learn the most. That's where me and spirit commune. The spirit in the darkness, it be lit there. It be lit, y'all. I'm telling y'all, okay? And today when I was driving, since y'all was talking about chaos, I was talking to myself, as I do often in my vehicle, and I was just like, you know what? Order is the child of chaos. Okay, let's not act like we don't understand that. You can't have no order without chaos. What is it that you're trying to order? What? And then I think the wireless woman was talking about like day and night, like this idea of a utopia of all goodness is an imbalance. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. That dichotomy, that duality, if you want to call it that, has to exist.
Yeah,
that is how life continues. Huh?
The womb is dark.
Yes, correct. So when you were talking about the duality of things, oftentimes I think that we are misled when it comes to that, or misinformed, miseducated. When it comes to that, where we're just like we want our idea is really ideal. I just want a world of light. You know what I'm saying? Of just goodness, and it's like. You asking for imbalance. You have no idea what you're asking for. You know what I'm saying? But I think accepting that there's always this duality there is important, because as we circling it back to seasons, so that when those seasons come around, you're like, hey, it's not gonna always be day. Night must come too. The night must come at some point. It's not gonna always be day. And I think it helps us to kind of go through those dark times. But guys, I want to jump into this real quick. So what I did was I just listed like about 11 things, and it's just like little quotes from me. All right. You guys can pick a number, and it doesn't mean that person alone speaks to it. If if it resonates with you, if it's something that you can build on, because I wanted to have this conversation publicly, because I want us to be able to build on each other. This is not a what do we say when we're in conversation? Well, I'm gonna have to give you a little pushback. This is not one of those conversations. We ain't pushing shit. We building, and that's it. We laying brick by brick by brick. Okay. So I'm going, you pick a number, and guys, I like shit, just so you know. I'm not surrendering that word for 2022. In fact, I just started really using it in 2022. So y'all gonna get a few more shits out of me for 2023. Maybe 2024 we could talk about surrendering shit. I may have actually evolved to, a little more advanced curse word. I don't know. Yes, but pick a number, and between 1 and 11. And then whatever number you pick, I'm gonna bring it up on the screen so we can expound on it. So who wanna go first? Look at wireless woman. Okay. So wireless woman number 8.
Yeah, shit is my jam. Shit is my jam.
Here's number 8.
This underground queen? Okay.
You can read it out.
Sometimes we aren't receiving what we want. I'm sorry, I gotta move to South Carolina, y'all. Because we won't let go of what we think we need. Yes. I think I have held on to what I thought I needed longer than I should have, because I was afraid of what I wanted.
Ooh. How are you afraid of what you wanted? Was it like, was it too big? Like the vision or whatever it was? Was it overwhelming? How are you afraid of what you want?
Last night I had Elliot Axiom on my panel, and we talked about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah, you guys, sometimes I'll have an intelligent conversation. And he talked about self-actualization at the top and esteem being right up underneath it. And you have to build that on top of safety. And under safety comes love. And under love comes physiological needs, just basic survival. I think that we skip over the area of safety. And I've never felt safe enough to self-actualize. We'll fake it till we make it. So we'll put esteem right there above physiological needs. I got the car, I got the house, I got the shoes that I like, I got the look, I'm looking how I'm looking, and then we just build esteem on top of that and never infuse love, never infuse safety. So I think for me, I've been afraid of getting what I really want and then finding out I wasn't who I thought I was. That's why the journey of chaos has been so important for me in this season, because I want to know the good, the bad, the ugly. I want to know who I really am before I put myself in a position to be successful, because I could very well sabotage my own success if it brings out in me someone I didn't know I could be. We watch people like Kanye West. We watch people like Nick Cannon that are in these positions where men would love to be where they are, and they're literally burning down their own life and justifying it. They got all these great reasons for why they do it that would make sense to you if you were crazy. But I want to know before I get what I want, who it would make me. I've sat outside I've been the spook that sat by many a door. And I've seen things about myself that made me fear getting what I want, who it would make me. So I think for me, that's why I have held on to things I needed, because I needed those things to keep me stable, because I was greater than I was willing to embrace, and that's that chaos energy. I was watching one of them Spider-Mans, and all the Spider-Mans were coming together, and he said, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's what I'm learning is responsibility, so that if I can prove faithful with little things, then I can go the distance to get the things I want.
Thank you for breaking that. Thank you for breaking that down. That was important, because I was like, how does that? Okay, so first let me make sure I shout out Cherokee Rose. I don't know if I shouted you out before. Peace to you, sis. And I see Underground Queen Mohammed Akila. I love shit too. Me too, girl. Okay, I just like the way it roll off my tongue, y'all. Sue me. And then she says what? So yeah, thank you for that. And I'm glad that you were able to give us an example as well. And that Maslow's hierarchy of need between you and the brother that was on your show. And that conversation, security is a big, big one that we do skip over. We'll get everything together and appear secure. We'll appear secure, but we're scared to death. Okay, we're scared to death. So I'm glad that you expounded on that. I'm gonna come full circle again. You'll have another number. So you pick number 8. I'm gonna let Zinga pick 1, and then I'll do my odds. What number you got, Naat? You can't pick 8.
Oh,
huh?
Do you want me to pick first or my odds?
Sure, go ahead and Zinga, and then my odds.
Okay, I'll say 9.
9. You can read it.
It is okay to not be over it yet. Oh my God, goodness. It is not okay to pretend you are. And it's so funny because look, I was sitting here thinking, because 9, I'm like 9. As soon as you said that, instantly 9 just came. That's first of all my birth month, and I just was like, number 9 is always my go-to. But it is okay not to be over it yet. It's not okay to pretend that you are. Basically, when I read that, I'm thinking about what you ladies were just speaking about or expounding on with regards to grief. And we can go through so many different seasons, and so for so many different reasons. It doesn't have to necessarily be the transition of one of our loved ones. It can be, some seasons being over in your life, and that you have to move on to another season of your life. And with that comes levels of grief. So to not pretend like the grief is not there, because someone down the line taught us to cry or to worry about someone that may have hurt you, or just to have a thought in your mind like, oh, like let's take an ex, for example. You like, he did me wrong, but maybe his birthday, you remember his birthday, and then you just think like, I hope he's okay. And then you beat yourself up for like, even like, that's all a part of it. You know what I mean? But to pretend like that you don't have no feelings around any given thing. And the feelings, like you said, we only got this one spectrum, 2 spectrums of feelings, but feelings is just this large spectrum. We got subcategories to emotions and all of this other stuff, but trying to block or act as if you don't feel a certain type of way will actually do a disservice more so to you than it does to anybody else. So
did you freeze? Nah. Okay, you were just frozen, sis. Go ahead.
Someone just, goodness, but
she must be getting phone calls.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Can you see? I did. I got a phone call.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, but learning, first of all, I think for me, I don't know if it's something that necessarily needs to be learned or if it's more so understood.
Yeah.
So which is okay, but I'm thinking like the whole grieving process, and that's what when I read this is what I think about. I think about the word grieving. And so being okay with acknowledging what was, being okay with, sitting with
you might beat yourself up. And I'm taking this from a personal perspective.
Mhm,
Y'all may
mhm.
not understand everything that I'm saying, but being okay with how everything transpired, you know, processing the feelings that come with it, processing the emotions that come with it, and then being able to just be okay with where you are rather than bottling everything up, rather than when you come out, you just always feel like you got to have on a smile, and you got to always, you don't want people to know that you really feel hurt or something triggered you, or, you know, like, it's okay. Because as we've been talking about, it's all a part of the process, and all of it matters. All of it matters. So
Mhm.
it is okay not to be over it, not to be over it yet. It is not okay to pretend that you are. That's what I take. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's when I wrote that, it's exactly that. And I know your focus is grief. For me, when I wrote that, it was just
Yeah.
generally, like
Yeah.
this idea to where maybe you'll have a conflict with someone. You know, this expeditious forgiveness that we try to practice. You know, this rush, and I think oftentimes that is connected to the threat of hell, to the threat of dying the next day, because any of us that went to church or was in the church, it was this idea of you got to fix it now because you could die tomorrow and then you lift up your eyes in hell type thing. I think it's all connected to that as well. But this idea that this sister hurt you and, you know, forgive my language, you got to love this heifer. Like now? No. You know, and it's okay to be like, yeah, I know at some point for my own self, I'm gonna have to get there, but right now, I am not there. And I think we have to make space for that for each other. You know, instead of having people in your space where they're going through something, you're like, you just need to let that go. You don't get to rush someone's healing process.
And
You don't get to tell
validating.
you don't get to tell them how long they get to grieve that or anything. It's just like, girl, you know, I know for me, like if I have friends around me and they're dealing with stuff, I might make light of it, right? But it's like, girl, you still on that? However, it's a light conversation. It's not like, you know, that's unhealthy. You don't get a tumor. It's not that type of conversation. You get what I'm saying? Or we talk about it and I'd be like, okay, so have you tried this? Have you tried that? I know in Zinga and you and I talked recently. I said to you, look, when that time come, you'll know. You know what I'm saying? You take that first step. But when that time come, you'll know. Is there judgment? Does it make that person a bad person because they're not ready to relinquish that hurt as yet? No. That doesn't make them bad or good. It just is. And so I'm doing a lot of just is in my own life, and really moving away from labeling everything good and bad. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, like I'm really getting away from that because everything is not that good or bad. Sometimes things are just as they are. It's just is. That's it. And once you start to practice that with yourself, it makes it easier to practice it with others that you are in relation with, whether that's friendship, intimate relationships, whatever that is. Where it's like, okay, you don't show up like me. That doesn't mean that you're bad.
Mhm.
You don't
I
sort
love
out
that.
your problems the way that I do. It doesn't mean that you're bad. You get what I'm
Can
saying?
I
It just is.
can I
That's
ask
kind
you
of
a
just what you
question?
do. Go ahead.
Do you think, because I swear, like I love everything that you just said, in particular that last part, in terms of allowing, and because we also had this conversation, we didn't have exactly this conversation.
Yeah.
We also talked about like contradictions.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
No, I got, you know, because I gotta take that, because that was a nugget that I took with me when you said that, when we was talking and
Mhm.
you said that to me. I'm like, that was so deep. But
Mhm.
even what you just now said, what do you think about other people to go through their process, not good or bad, not labeling it good, not labeling it bad, whatever the case may be? But do you think that it's ego that allows us to kind of like not allow, like, for people that, what is that don't allow us to allow people to go through their processes without taking things personal, without taking it as a, you know, like attack on who we are?
Yeah.
Wireless woman, you want to answer? Go ahead.
I wanted to piggyback on what you said when you were talking about it just being, they call that in the therapy world, radical acceptance. Mhm,
There we go.
mhm. Radical acceptance, whatever it is, that's what it is. Wherever you go, that's where you are. And it is ego. And I think that because women have moved into a space that we've never been in the history of Earth, we
Mhm.
got to acknowledge that. We got to acknowledge we've been endued and imbibed. I
Mhm.
looked that word up with power. With power. I didn't know what it was because I thought it was drunk, and it is, but we've been imbibed with
Mhm.
power. And just like fame, just like narcissism, the body isn't equipped to handle it psychologically. It can create a separation between the id and the ego. That's how you can see people do things that are so irrational, and you're like, you gotta know there's something wrong with it. And they're like, no, it's not, because the consciousness has separated from the ego. And I know for me, I can completely resonate with what you're saying, Hanifa, because I went through that process in grief, in the things that I lost, because we have to let go. And if you stay connected to anything that's dead, it's gonna eventually, like my aunt said about the toxicity, the death will come into you more than you will put life into that dead thing. We think the opposite. We think it's going to roll downhill and resurrect this thing, but the death was spread, not the life. And so I know for me, when it came to letting go in my relationship, because I'm very transparent about this on my channel. I loved my husband. I married him because I loved him,
Mhm.
and I married him because I wanted to be there when he died, or him there when I died. And so having to take my expectation that I had for that relationship and pack it down into 2 years, pack it up and pack it away was difficult. But the ego will tell you, because this was what my ego said every day. It said, he ain't gonna find nobody like you. You know what I'm saying? You loved him, you took care of him, you would have done that. He'll never find anyone else like you. But what I had to recognize was, and you like shit, I love bitch. Bitch, he found you. Okay?
Ooh,
He found
yes,
you.
yes.
He found you to love him like that. You in all your phenomenal ways. You in all your glory. You poured down love like Monica on this man, and he got you to do it. So what makes you think he'll never be loved like that again? If he thought it was such a unique thing, he would have valued it. And that was the place where I had to turn from, no one can do this better than me, because that's what kept me holding on. And say,
Wow.
the letting go for me was saying,
That's
but
ego.
who's gonna love you like that?
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
definitely ego.
you loved him like that. You thought you
Mhm.
was supreme being and nobody could do it like you. But
Mhm.
here's the thing. The humbleness that's needed to be able to let go was, but what did you receive in return? Who's gonna love you like that? Who's gonna love you and not quit,
Ooh,
not give up?
so
Who now
good.
you've got to bring yourself down and put yourself in a position of being able to receive, and you can't do that when you're up here. And
Yes.
him leaving showed me, I had been doing workspace love. I had been working in this relationship, not even looking at what I was building. I built a monument to myself.
Mm.
And ego is a monument of nothingness. They tell you that in Greek life, excuses build monuments of nothingness. But so does ego driven narcissism. And my ex-husband was a narcissist, but I had to embrace that I attracted him because there was a certain thing in me that said, no one's going to ever do this better than me. And I never put myself in a position to let water flow downhill and receive that love back. So letting go for me was a process of saying, you deserve better back in return. You deserve a better return on your investment. So I think that's where ego traps us up, and it makes the grip so tight. You rather pull the skin off your hand trying to hold on than to just let go.
I'm gonna let my ad pick a number, and then I'm gonna circle back around the contradiction piece, because I wanted, I wanted to. First of all, let me go ahead and drop the link for anyone that wants to come up and join the conversation. I'm here tonight. I ain't got no family here with me tonight. So if we go over, we go over. It's Friday. What the hell? It's the
Where your
30th.
family at, Hanifa?
Girl,
Where they at?
my husband and my child went on a road trip.
Where they at though? Okay, we got
Yeah,
Hanifa
so
by herself
I'm
tonight.
here to it's me here. Exactly. It's me here. Before I came on here, I was blasting music and dancing and everything. But my aunt, why don't you go ahead and pick a number?
Yeah, so I had a question for Nzinga. What
Sure.
what day of you said you were born in September? What day?
The 24th.
Oh, okay. I'm the 2nd of September. I was just curious.
Really? What if I would have been like the 2nd? What you would have said?
No, I was just curious because you know, September, we
Ain't nobody no Virgo.
That's right.
I was about to say, my aunt, you do not give off Virgo energy. You give off Libra energy. That's interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I wonder
Are
what
you
your
a
Venus
Libra,
is in.
Huh?
Are you a Libra?
Girl, no.
no, you know.
Look, she said I'm a Libra, right? She like, girl, no, not me.
No. No.
So with my life path number is 7, and according to numerologists, we're going into a 7th year, so I'll pick 7.
Hold up, but look at that 7, 8, 9. That is so cool, right?
Wait, where did y'all get 7, 8, 9 from? Oh, you going with 7? Oh, my bad, girl. Y'all lost me. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm back. I am back. I promise you. Boom, number 7. Go ahead, my aunt.
Many of us have our trauma in storage and are paying the cost for keeping it there. So yeah, I mean, I think we've been speaking about this, right? Like the trauma, because a lot of us are holding on to that trauma, to that grief, whatever it is, because we're used to it. That's we feel like we've normalized it. We feel like we can thrive within it. Sometimes love doesn't feel like love unless we are being traumatized within the process.
Woo, child.
Because if it's not a battle, it doesn't feel as good. So the cost, like when I think of something like I'm paying for something, it has to be worth it, right? Like when I was birthing life into this plane, it was worth it, right? The pain was worth it, because you knew at the end of the day that like every contraction, every pain, you knew that at the end you were receiving that, that new life. But when you are going through something, you ate something bad or whatever it is, and you're going through that pain, you're like, this ain't even worth it. This is not worth the pain. When you're detoxing and you might be going through certain things, you understand what is coming on the other side of that. So, a lot of times you have to look at, is this worth what I'm paying? Is it worth it? Like I mean, certain times even when it comes to people we're connected with, and you were repeating, like Nzinga said, you're repeating those cycles with the same person. You have to kind of be like, is it worth it? And sometimes that's within yourself, because there is something that is within you that is still wanting to hold on to that. Within our kind of like how our brain works, we have to learn how to not always want to hold on to that pain because we're used to that pain. We gravitate to painful things because that's what we've been used to. We have conditioned ourselves to continue to want to, go towards those negative situations, instead of like redirecting, like reprogramming your mind to even when you have like you for example, like work, because there's sometimes you have to engage with certain people that you don't want to engage with. So when you're at work, you're like, okay, I don't have to engage with that person. So instead of arming yourself and saying, I'm about to engage with this person, it's about to be a negative interaction, how can you reprogram yourself to say that, okay, I'm about to engage with this person and it's going to be a positive outcome? Sometimes that can be hard. I mean, there are conversations we have within our household, and I have to understand that sometimes what is being said in that moment, within that, whether it's an argument, whatever it is, a disagreement, sometimes it's not about, like, so I'll use a very specific example. With me and my husband, right? Sometimes it is not about him and it's not about me. It could be something that was prior to our relationship.
Right.
It could be something in that day. It could be something that maybe is affecting the current communication. And so sometimes you have to say, okay, what maybe I'm projecting onto you. It has nothing to do with you, but it may be something that is within me that I have to deal with, whether that is, trauma. It could be the grieving process of losing someone very early on in our relationship. I'm not going to even lie to y'all. I was testing the mess out of my husband because what did I want to see out of him? Are you going to treat me just like these other clowns treat me, right? Like, you pushing the buttons, testing to see if you are going to react in that same way. That is that's that trauma. That's that trauma. You're used to it, and so you're saying, okay, if I push this, are you going to react? And then if they do react, then it's crazy to be like, oh, I'm shocked because you reacted this way. This. So it's that kind of the thing with insanity, right? It's like doing the same thing and thinking you're going to receive a different result. So then you have to ask yourself within that, because shout out to my husband for dealing with my craziness, and so because that can cost you, right? I always tell him, like, a lesser man would not have been able to deal with that, and that could have cost me what I have now. That can, and then you got to think of what else does that affect. It may affect how your children, at that time we didn't have all the children we have now, but that can affect, even if you continue those kind of antics and don't heal and don't evolve and hold on to that trauma from because a lot of it is, we're dealing with childhood, we're still children in adult bodies.
Yes.
We're and we're dealing with, we haven't dealt with we can't even deal with the trauma from our adult lives, because we are still trying to process that trauma from as being children. And so that can affect your children, because if you are treating them you're treating your spouse a certain way in front of your children, then how are they going to look when you argue with your spouse? Someone told me in the past, there was a man who an older gentleman, he was like, when you argue with your children, they feel like they have to pick a side. I mean, when you argue with your spouse, you feel like they have to pick a side. So understanding all of those things. So when you do argue, we have to have those conversations with our children and say, okay, mom and daddy, this is having those conversations. Those are not conversations that with my grandparents, they would argue like cats and dogs. Those are not conversations they were having with their children afterwards. It was just like, that's what it is. And you see the cost. What happened with the next generation?
Yeah.
They felt like they had to pick sides.
Yeah.
So, having that trauma in storage, I always say, if I'm not evolving, I'm devolving. I was thinking that today. So how are you going to evolve each part of yourself so that you can evolve the relationships that you are in contact with,
that you're trying to build with others? I want to thank you for that, Maat. I love you guys. You guys are just spitting. Listen, I'm gonna leave here. My spirit is gonna be full today. Okay, and just so y'all know, y'all are taking getting a glimpse of the direction that my channel is going to be going in the future. Period. I am not straying. I am not, and we're gonna talk about that before I wrap up because your girl been going through it. Okay.
Yeah, I
But
want to hear what's coming next, Anita. I want to know.
but
Give
I
us a
wanted to
trailer.
I wanted to speak to the contradiction piece that Nzinga was talking about. So this is this thing of where we compartmentalize ourselves. You know, we're fragmented and then we compartmentalize those fragmentations of ourselves. So that's what happens. I look at it like think of a room in your house. You go into your bedroom, you close the door. You have no interaction with what's going on in the living room, in the kitchen, in the bathroom. You are only interacting, dealing with whatever is within that room that you've closed yourself in. You come out of that room, you go to the bathroom. Okay, you only deal with whatever is behind of that door in that bathroom. What's going on in the other room, in the kitchen, wherever, you're not even interacting with that. And for me, I started a long time. Well, we're gonna just say this. I had a ceremony. I had a ceremony about almost 3 years ago, which completely knocked those walls out and created an open floor plan between all aspects and all expressions of myself, because those parts of myself had never met each other. I knew they were there. They knew they were there, but they thought that they were the only expression of me. I thought that that one was the only expression of me. And all the time, you have one over here in the bathroom, and you have another one over there in the bedroom. And so, in coming out of this, my first ceremony, that is what it did. That ceremony did. It knocked down those walls that were compartmentalizing those parts of myself. Once that happened, then the contradictions that exist within you can meet each other. And then you can begin to start to resolve those things. And it's not resolving as in you have to get rid of one. Okay? So you have Wireless Woman had talked about those the darkness. We all have that in us, by the way. Every single one of us. We have just chosen not to engage that part of ourselves. We have compartmentalized us. And ask me how I know. Let someone come for your children. See how quickly you tap into that. Why? If it's not there, what is there to tap into? It's always there. So for me, where I'm at right now, because I have, oh, let me make sure I say this right, because I was about to say I have no walls. That sounds too provocative. Your girl got walls, okay? I'm just
This took a different route.
Yeah, right. I was about to say I got no walls. I have to catch myself. Like, hold up now. We're not saying that.
That escalated quickly.
Real quickly. I was like, how the hell? Okay. No, but within like the parts of myself, those walls are gone. And so for the last couple of years, though the different aspects and different expressions of myself has been having conversations with each other. Hey, nice to meet you. What's up? You know what I'm saying? And it's just more of a thing of, yo, this is your time to shine. This is where this aspect of you, Hanifa, needs to come to the front. It's just a tag team thing. Hey, girl, this you. You know, this is not my lane. This is your lane. Come through. And that part of me, take a back seat and allow that other part of it. This is not multiple personality disorder. It's not. These are multiple expressions of yourself. You are not just one thing. And I think a lot of us struggle with that because there's this danger of being called a hypocrite. There's this idea that, oh, wait, hold up. You switching up. Who are you? It's like, no. That part of me has always been there. The Wireless Woman, that darkness you speak of, you were born with it. It has always been there, right? But we always think that to get into the darkness means that we have to go tear up some shit. No, sometimes the energy that comes from that chaos is much needed because sometimes you got to bulldoze some shit in your life so that you can start rebuilding. And the only place that you can get that energy from is within that darkness, that chaos. It's not going to come from anywhere else. And then also religion also trains us to pick one aspect of ourselves. Be the chaste woman. Be the good woman. Show up like this. Cross your legs tightly. Talk like this. Don't yell. Don't be too loud. But all of us have these different expressions in us. And once I accepted that compartmentalization, I didn't feel the need to do that anymore. And it works. It helps. It has helped. So that's even a part of healing self as well. Right. And then the other thing too, somebody was talking about, I think my aunt was speaking about childish reactions. My aunt, that was toxic as hell, testing that man like that. And you know it. Don't be testing my brother.
I know. I apologize.
You know what though? You said a lesser man would have been deterred by that. So you do have to think about it, because now the strength for the journey that's needed for the distance, for y'all to be able to go the distance, is built into that. You have a trust now in him, because you know that he can carry you. My pastor in my former life, he would say that about female eagles, that when they pick a mate, they'll go up to a height and they'll drop off a limb that's the size of a baby to see if he can catch it before it hits the ground. Then she drops a limb that's the size of her weight to see if he could catch her before it hits the ground. So, I ain't saying it's right. I ain't saying it's right.
Yeah.
I ain't saying that. But what I'm saying is, now you have trust. We speak so much about why, the Black woman and the Black man don't trust each other. And it's because we've watched the master class, if you will, of white supremacy come in and disempower our men. I'm working on an episode now, I think I already put it up, where I was showing how Black men have to comply. How do I look at you as my protector if you can be subjugated? Then you come in and say, okay, now submit to me. So I got to get underneath them to get underneath you as well. So he showed you in being able to resist that darkness and still bring forth light, that you could trust them. So I see the good and bad in it,
That's part of the chaos, right? Like that's what
but you made the point, you have to heal though from that. When the trust is established, believe it then.
Right. When you mentioned childish reaction, what came to my mind is that, here's the truth. A whole lot of us, we grew up in homes where we were not allowed to freaking react. How about that? So now we become of age and we find ourselves in these adult bodies where we actually have the freedom to react. And guess what we go to? We go to that child within us.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have an 11-year-old child reacting through a 40-year-old body.
Mm-hmm.
Because that 11-year-old child never had the space to react. And now they're given the freedom within this 40-year-old body to react, to express, to emote, to speak up. And it comes out childish because it is coming from the place of a child. Honestly, a lot of us are really stuck emotionally in some ways. Really, we are. And it's okay to own that. Like I had, you guys have probably seen Brother Ed on my channel before. Brother Ed, right now, Brother Ed he talks about this all the time. He went into jail, charged as an adult at the age of 17. He didn't come out until he was 35, 36 years old. Brother Ed is in his 40s right now. So one of the things that he had told us was even trying to talk to women, it's like he's 17. And sometimes we don't talk enough about, and this is men and women. This happens in men and women. The tantrum sometimes you might see some of the brothers have, some of the women have. It's like, okay, who is this? How old are you here? How old are you here right now? How old is that emotion, that's your expression? And we don't talk about that a lot. But I want to move on because I want to give you guys another round. And then, because I know Nzinga going to be leaving in a little while. But I also saw Kuma came in. So I want to make sure he shouted out, great job, Mama Nzinga. Kumra, thanks for passing through and showing some love. Okay, so we had number 7. We have 7, 8, 9. Look at y'all. I can't. Okay, guys. All right, back to Wireless Woman. Pick one.
11.
Well, damn. I forgot how to 11. Okay, let me see. Okay. Here we go. Read it out.
Protect your becoming. Ooh, some had access yesterday, may not deserve it today. Some who had access yesterday may not deserve it today. Or in the words of, I think it was Fat Joe or somebody, yesterday's price is not today's price.
Not yesterday's prices. Yeah.
Okay, inflation, baby. I see it like being a caterpillar in a cocoon, and the cocoon is so necessary because if you cut the butterfly out of a cocoon, they will die. The beating of the wings is what strengthens the wings to fly. So you definitely need to be protective of that space of not even becoming too soon. Bible says a blessing out of season is a curse. So I know for me, that's why I was in the private chat running with scissors as I do. And I was saying that I'm pulling all the pins right now. I'm pulling the pins now because that creates the blast zone. That lets me know that's how I'm finding security. That's how I'm finding safety, is knowing what my limits are instead of testing somebody else's. Let me test mine. And now I think we all have to begin to be vigilant about protecting that space, because y'all know on my channel and I've kind of gone away from it, especially when I'm on panels with people, because I recognize when folks started saying you got your war paint on and that it was bringing a certain energy, because y'all know I have my tribal paint. I try to explain to people it's tribal. Okay, now if I come in here with war paint on, you gonna know. But I know for me that's what it's about. It's about knowing who you are, knowing whose you are and what you belong to, because so often we are out here feeling like motherless children and not recognizing that we actually belong to something, because I talk in that darkness light talk about the collective consciousness and how the void of divinity and God in the atmosphere, when we see so many people walking away from the church now, we see so many people deconstructing religion to replace it with what exactly, and the collective consciousness, God exists himself in a multitude of persons. That's his own testimony of himself. He said, let us make man in our image. So he exists as a collective consciousness. So we have to begin to recognize that we belong to something. There is safety in numbers and a multitude of counselors. There's safety. And so I think we have not felt that, because we do get into that lone wolf energy. I'm out here by myself, the men are upset at us about wanting to be independent, and they tell us we're not safe in that posture. And to a certain extent, that's true. However, I do feel that protecting who we are becoming has to come at the expense of who we were. We want them both, and we're not going to be able to keep them both. So that's what I'm learning. And I think you said, Hanifa, that we can't. Nope, it was my aunt. You said we can't be afraid of how people are going to see it. No, it was you, Hanifa. I'm sorry. No, me and these rabbits. You said we can't be afraid of how people are going to look at us and what people are going to think about us. So it's one part light, which is the individual work that we do, but it's the other part dark, which is the lone work that we do of pressing forward in our individual time so that the collectiveness of the consciousness moves forward as well.
Yeah, that was my aunt, and I thank you for that, because I think we have to becoming goes back to seasons, being aware of the season that you're in, and you can't be around every energy during certain points of your becoming. It's just not safe to do so. It's not wise to do so. You know what I'm saying? So when you just said that, I was like, okay, yeah. Well, for me, when I wrote this, for me, it's the metamorphosis process, which you just spoke about, came to mind as well. There is that time that you're gonna go into that chrysalis cocoon stage of your becoming. And that is solitude. There is a place for solitude. There is a place for darkness. There is a place for being alone with your own thoughts, with yourself. Because what I'm finding is, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on so Nzinga could pick a number. One of the things that I've been thinking about, I like to read, love to read. And I was like, Spirit to act up. She does act up. She do. She be coming for me. I don't always like it. But she was just talking to me and was like, you should not know more about Martin Luther King, Patrice Lumumba, Marcus Garvey, none of these people than you know about yourself. You could tell me where they were born, what they did when they were born, where they were born, how they were born, and all of that. Who is your grandmother? What is your mother's story? What is your, because I've been doing some ancestral work, guys. This is why Spirit is spanking my behind. Who is your mother? What is her story? Who is your grandmother? What is her story? All of these people who are so far removed from you, all that's been written about their stories. And so I say, so how do I get these stories? Because my people were not famous enough to make it into books. And Spirit showed me that my blood is the archives. If you want to know the story of your ancestors, it is written in your DNA. You go in and you get it. One of the examples that came to mind is for layman terms, because all of us grew up look, if we grew up in the church, we grew up around the church. Okay? But one of the things that I always say, people would ask when I was in church, this was in my 20s, it was a question of like, wait, the Genesis story, who wrote that? And somebody was like, well, Moses. And I was like, how? Dude was born like thousands of years after. And but here's the thing that I've learned. And this is through study and this is through sitting with myself, is that Spirit can show you your ancestral stories. That is very possible. And I'm literally currently in the middle of that. So I know what I'm talking about. Where there are ancestors whose stories that you need to know, Spirit will show you that if you are interested. So this thing of you study this person, you read in that book, study self. There's archives and there's libraries sitting in you waiting to be explored. And we're constantly being pulled away from ourselves, pulled outside of ourselves, distracted by this, distracted by that. And the answers that we are seeking are right next to the questions that we're asking. They both exist within the same place. The questions coming from within you is right next to the answer sitting within you. But oftentimes, and I have something in here, we don't trust our own voice. Because we trust voice. We say that, no, that voice has a PhD. So that voice has to be more right than me. And nothing is wrong with PhDs. That voice has the credentials. So that voice has to, but how does that voice know more about you than you know about yourself? Because that PhD that voice studied wasn't a PhD in Ma'at. Wasn't a PhD in Zynga. Wasn't a PhD in the Wireless Woman. No one should have a doctorate in you and how you show up and how you function before you. How is that possible? So that's something that the becoming peace, the protecting peace, for me, like I said, I've been doing some ancestral work, so I'm like, I'm dealing, y'all. I'm dealing, okay? Like spirit has been dealing. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But Nzinga, go ahead and pick one so that I can put it up on the board.
Okay. Well, first, I just want to say, like, I can't just breeze by everything you just now said. I just wanted to say, Hanifa, I love you so much. Like, you are such a phenomenal woman. I'm so happy that we cross paths. I think that you're so different in terms of like your perspective, your way of thinking, I just love it. I absolutely love it. And thank you for this platform, that you created here for us to be able to come on here and share I wouldn't have met an amazing woman like Ma'at, an amazing woman like the Wireless Woman. Like, these are amazing women that, I would not have met if it wasn't for this platform that you created. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for everything. Like,
you're welcome.
Everything, But I'm going to pick number 2.
Number 2?
Number
2. Okay, let's see. Number 2. Oh boy. This one here I just put up the other day on Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if you just expounded on that. Get a PhD in knowing yourself. Like, I mean,
right.
You pretty much really, like, I mean, I can reiterate that. Just the fact that, the most important relationship, just like the Wireless Woman has stated earlier about what her therapist said. I'll go back to that now, Wireless Woman, that, you take yourself everywhere you are, and that's just the truth of the matter. So the most important relationship that we can build, that we can heal, that we can give attention to is the ones that we have with ourselves. And I know I used to hear that a lot, and I used to be thinking that it was so like cliche. I'm like, why everybody always say that? And when I first, embarked upon my journey of, coming into my womanhood and knowing myself more, and everybody used to say that, I used to be like, like, what is this thing that they're talking about? But as I continue to grow and awaken more in my consciousness, everything is a reflection of that. How I choose to eat, how I, how I sleep, how I raise my children, the relationship I have with my mate, the relationships I have with my sisters. It all is a reflection of where I am and my consciousness. So yeah, that's what I would say to that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wrote down, it dictates all other relationships. The relationship you have with yourself, it dictates. I tell people all the time, people say you attract who you are. I say, I've changed that over the years. I say you attract where you're at, who you are in the moment. Because you ever been in a situation like with a guy or something like that, and because we're women, and you look back 5 years maybe from then, and you're like, girl, how? It doesn't even have to be 5 years. It could be 12 months, girl. You look back like, how? And so I tell my friend,
I never think that. I never think that. I'm like Killmonger. I got bodies on bodies on bodies. Okay. I keep a little what do they call it? Memento.
No, when I tell my friend, I'd be like, okay, breathe. It's not an emergency. Okay, just breathe. It's not the end. What I used to say to my friends is, where were you at when you were in that situation, or where were you at? Think about it. And you often find people will be like, well, I had just lost my father. I had just lost my mother. Me and my child wasn't getting along. I wasn't the most comfortable in my skin because I had just given birth the year before. I was feeling fat. You find all sorts of things. And you're like, oh, that's why. Yeah. Anyway, so I always say it all depends on where you are. In Nzinga, I know you have to go. Yes, I know. And let me see. You asking who's show?
The Wireless Woman. I already subscribed to my show. I need all of y'all.
I put it in the chat. Let me do it again.
Do you do content in Nzinga?
Well, I do a mixture of some things. So I'm a graphic designer, but I also, that's what I'm gonna start getting back into that. So any content that I create most of the time is stuff, especially on Instagram. But then on Facebook, I do. Hanifa, is it okay for me to?
Please do.
Yes. Well, you're getting me
yes. So I'm just doing right now. I do women's retreats. I curate women's retreats for our healing. That's really the main thing that I do, and different things that we do for sisters. Different different events and gatherings that we have just to be together and share space and grow in that way with one another. But definitely the biggest thing that I do right now is retreats for women, for Black women, of course. And we go away and we build, we heal, we release, and we just try to come out as our better selves,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, and I've been to one of Nzinga retreats, very, very relaxing retreats, and Nzinga gives the best massages. I just want to put that out there. But yes, I've been to one of her outdoors retreat. Right, that it was a retreat, right?
Well, no, it was a Sisters Day in the park when we just went in the park and just relaxed. So it was, yes, pretty much, yeah. So it wasn't a retreat, but I am going to start doing day retreats. But that was just us just chilling, preparing ourselves, because there's some of the children, for those who do have their children in the school systems of some capacity. Mm-hmm. It was around the time that they were going to be going back, children were going to be going back. So I'm just like, we just need a minute, even the moms that homeschool, getting back into the school season for those who didn't do much during the summertime or whatever. So yeah, that's what it was.
Okay. So yeah, the Wireless Woman, she's the Wireless Woman on Facebook, YouTube. I actually put her YouTube thing in as well, so you could just click on it in the chat if you can. And she also put her email in the back for you as well, Nzinga. And you can, if you need her or whatever, and you forget for whatever reason, just reach out to me. I'll make sure I connect you guys. That's not a problem at all.
Will do. And thank you
Okay.
so much for having me on the show tonight, Hanisa. I love you so
Thank you,
much.
Mama. Same here, and we'll be in touch because I know you're about to come off of your little social media break, but I'm about to go on mine. But we'll talk. We'll talk.
I just want to say it was nice to get to engage in conversation with you again, and I think you're gonna be near me soon. So I want to get, I think you're having a retreat here. I think.
Well,
Uh,
is it in Baltimore?
I'm in Georgia.
Oh, you're in Georgia?
Yeah.
Oh my God, now I'm definitely going. I'm like, Baltimore, wait a minute, is she mistaken? Like, I felt unimportant at first. I was like, maybe she mistaken me. But she said, no, Georgia, it was you. Okay. Oh, yes, that's going to be so much fun. Oh, yes, absolutely. Yep, in July. Yep,
Okay.
in Georgia. Yep.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to make my way to come see you. So,
Yeah.
whatever we do,
yes.
I'm going to see you. I'm going to see you.
Okay, well, let me know because I'm going to be in South Carolina. I'll be just a couple hours away from Georgia. So
that's what I'm
There
going
we
to do.
go.
Thank you, ladies.
All right, Nzinga. I'll be in touch. Peace and blessings, sis. All right, guys. So let me see. We're gonna do two more. I think it was Nzinga's turn, but she had to go.
She did hers.
It was hers, so it's my
That was
aunt's
hers. Oh, so it's my aunt. Wait, you did? Oh yeah, you did yours already. So my aunt is your turn, and then we're gonna get ready to close out.
I'll do number 1. Oh goodness. There is a time to stand up and a time to sit your ass down.
Listen. Okay, go ahead, my aunt. You can speak on that. I'm gonna tell y'all where that came from, but go ahead. It's connected to the rest in peace that the wireless woman had spoke on earlier. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, when I hear this statement, I think of I think of what you kind of open with, right? Like that Ecclesiastes. There's a time, there's time, there's seasons for different things. So, I think of how we even have times where it's time to really go into detoxing. And then there's a time where you have to nourish yourself. There's, there are those different cycles that we have to go through. So when we are in this space, I mean, we are content creators, right? So there's a constant energy exchange at all times when you are engaging in social media. Just looking at social media, there's an energy exchange. You're looking at other people's thoughts. You're looking at it, and then even if you don't physically feel it all the time, there is something that's happening with you when you even see a certain statement. You'd be like, oh my goodness, like what are these people talking about? And so there are even times when you may need to respond to something.
Yeah.
You know how you'll be typing a message to somebody and then you'd be like, I ain't about to say all that,
And then you type okay, period.
Right.
which is a whole lot, by the way.
Exactly. So it's I think of that. And even within rest, I remember making a post a few weeks ago, and I was saying that we have to understand that a part of discipline is not always in the action, but it's also in the resting. Are you disciplined enough to rest? Are you disciplined enough to stop? Are you disciplined enough to understand your body? Just like what you said earlier with the whole PhD. Nobody should have a PhD in your own body. That's one thing that if you go to my Instagram, I'm just the guide. You are the healer. A lot of people walking around calling themselves healers, but the actual person who heals themselves is the actual healer. You have done the work. I can guide you. I can say, try these herbs.
Mm-hmm.
I can
Mm-hmm.
give you a meal plan. I can do all those things, but you actually have to do the work. So that makes you the healer of yourself.
Mm.
To understand all of the different things. What are you like the discipline that it takes to even detox, or the discipline to stop, the discipline to say, I'm not engaging with this right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking a break, right? Like as a content creator, that's like, what? You know, like taking a break.
Algorithm.
Exactly. And so you have to say, okay, what do I need to be disciplined at? I love this. And it's funny because I wanted to talk about this a few weeks ago when we were having the marriage conversation. And I actually had a dream about it. So maybe it was meant for me to say here. And
Mm-hmm.
so one thing that one of my mentors, she always would that she would always say is I would talk to her about like how do, because she has how many kids they have? I think they have 6 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would say, I said, well, how did you navigate that? Because she homeschools,
Mm-hmm.
businesses and things like that. And she said it was the 80-20 rule. So at different stages and cycles in my life, I decided what needed the most attention. So when I was trying
Mm.
80% of my time was going into me finding my mate, and 20% would go into other things. So maybe working or whatever that is. But
Wow.
when I got married and I wanted to have children, 80% went into how to get pregnant and things like that, because she was having issues getting pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And when she actually conceived and had the children, 80% went into the children. So what did that look like as a mother? That meant that if I had a job, they were working with me because she was homeschooling them.
Right.
Maybe they were helping with the process. And now that her children at a certain age, 80% goes into her business, and then 20% goes into other things. So understanding that at different times, seasons, and cycles, what needs the most attention?
Prioritizing. Mm-hmm.
Right, prioritizing. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to say, I'm not going to be that business owner that everybody on social media is telling me to be, like chase the bag, right? I have to be that mother right now. And then when my children are a certain age, maybe then I can go into that, right? Um,
Mm-hmm. That's wireless woman being in the wrong season. But go ahead.
mhm,
Yeah, you think because you think because they're in their summer that
mhm,
you if you do what they're doing, then you're in your summer. And it's like, no, they're in their summer, you're in your winter. Like you
yeah,
have to be able to discern that. And,
mhm,
and,
Yeah.
and not to interrupt, I just wanted to add to that. One of my friends, I was telling her that I had used the natural. Yeah, I remember the natural hair community boom on YouTube. And I was explaining to her, you and I have talked about this behind the scenes, how you had a whole bunch of, and I'm using the hair grade system here just for people to understand. But you had people who had 4C texture
mhm,
hair following 3A texture hair people and run into Walmart to get the products in hope that they'll get the same outcome, but not realizing some of it is genetics, right? And so you're following people who it's not even a reflection of where you're at. So you're following a woman who has no children, no responsibility, traveling the world, and you sitting up here coveting her life. And
mhm,
now you're miserable in your own life because you don't understand the season that you're in, which is what you're
Mhm.
speaking to when you're saying, what season am I in? What's the priority? I have a toddler. I have
mhm,
a toddler. There's some
Mhm.
things I'm just not going to be able to do in this
right.
season in my life. Is he going to be a toddler forever? No. So when he now evolves, I too will evolve as a parent. That's kind of how that works. So
Yes.
for me to
Mhm.
follow people who are in their 20s and 30s, they ain't got no children, don't desire no children, they ain't got no husband, they ain't got barely have any responsibilities. They still live with their parents. They're paying only the electricity bill. Okay,
Maybe.
and they're making money on social media because their time is more freed up than mine. And I'm in my little corner of the world, mad and coveting that. How? How? You and them don't even have the same life. So I remember talking to my friend and saying, when you follow people, there's nothing wrong with following people. When you follow people on social media, it has to make sense. It
Yeah.
has to make sense.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you end up doing more damage than good to yourself. But go ahead,
Right.
my.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say right quick to what you were saying about people in different seasons or being behind people who are chasing the endless summer. Because I know for me, I have watched some content creators burn themselves out and then stay in that lane so long that something that started out as a great concept, like all of a sudden they were Anakin Skywalker and now they Darth Vader. And it just came from not taking that moment to step back, reevaluate, and make sure that where they're taking people, they actually want them to go.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Ma'at, if you wanted to finish up, go ahead and then
it's just very
you're fine.
Just very important to listen to your energy. Like that's what it is. And everything is holistic, so we don't we're not supposed to be separating and fragmenting ourselves where we're showing up differently in the sense where you are not yourself on these different platforms. Yes, expressions of ourselves. But and within that, I had a conversation with our kids the other day, and I said, when you look at we're having the same conversations at home that we're having on social media. I remember talking to you, Hanifa, and you was like, what I talk about on my platform is just what I would want to talk about anyway. So that is the essence. Like when we go to our platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is, YouTube, that is you showing up as you. People are, look at the people who come into your comments. What are they saying? They're echoing the person that they see when you're not on social media.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what it is. And I asked my girls, I said, do I show up differently? No, I don't show up differently. We're having the same conversations. We go deep with our kids.
Yeah.
I would go deep with anyone else. So you have to be able to check yourself. And I made a post about this. I said, if you have to fragment, if you got to go out into corporate America and fragment yourself, because you're going to have to fragment yourself if you're dealing with white folks. You have to fragment yourself in society. Make sure that you don't have to fragment yourself when you come home to your world. You want to be able to put 100% of yourself. And if it takes some type of fragmentation within you, then sometimes you do have to sit down and say, I gotta back up. I can't do this right now. And we can always analyze and say, okay, what I did last year is not what I'm about to do this year. Because guess what? You're evolving. My speech, what I talk about is way different than what I talked about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Inflation, baby.
And guess what? That means who has access to you is going to look different. My conversations, that's why I appreciate my sister Hanifa, because you are also a part of my evolution. So like our conversations are different than maybe someone who was a part of my childhood, right?
Yeah.
It's a different type of conversation. You help me see things that I'm like, yo, how did I not see that? So it's just like a part of that. And coming into contact with people who are a part of your growth. One time you said to me on the phone, you were like the people who are in my world, they're just aspects of me.
Yep. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I'm you and you are me, right? Yep. That's why a lot of times you'd be like, the other day I was like, yo, I was just saying that. Like I literally just said that. And and that is a part of even checking your energy field around you, because do you feel drained or do you feel uplifted when you're having conversations? Like right now, I'm like, yo, I can go and I can do some things after this conversation. And so that's a part of it too, because sometimes sitting down doesn't mean you stop talking. It just means the camera off. You don't need to be in front of it. So that's a part of it as people who are as women, Black women who are a part of really a masculine space, which is YouTube. It's a male dominated space. And so we have to understand how to navigate these YouTube streets
without compromising
without
yourself.
compromising. And when you get a moment, I wanted to address something in the chat, but
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah,
talking.
no, without compromising yourself, I wanted to add that on. So for me, this particular one, because I'm going to be closing out. I'm going to let you speak before I close out, and Wireless Woman as well. But I wanted to speak to this particular one because I'm getting ready to go on my social media detox. I did a social media detox one time. It ended up being 2 years, guys. It ended up being 2 years. Okay. Okay. So one of the things that in this season, and when I say season, this has nothing to do with the Gregorian calendar. It's just talking about seasons in my life. The season that I am in currently is a season of obedience to my spirit. Right. That's kind of where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
I have really been back and forth with Chica, my spirit, for quite some time, and I know better in certain areas. I know the lane that I'm supposed to be walking in. In fact, I am constantly by the people around me told it without them, like people are constantly telling me the same thing over and over and over. And it's one of those things that I just, y'all, I mean, maybe y'all could speak to this too. Y'all ever have where you know within your spirit, you have a knowing that this is the way, and it could just be for that time, that this is the way that you should be walking in. However, there's a part of you, you're like, but I want to do this. But I want to do this instead.
You see how sober me and my aunt got. As soon as you said it, we was like,
yes, guys, I'm trying to come out of that in this season. Not trying, I am coming out of that in this season. I'm trying to be a little bit more obedient with that and really being able to sit in my darkness, knowing when to come out and when to go into it has become really valuable and important to me in this season of my life. And so January begins my social media break. I intend to be back in February. I can't promise anything, but that is I want to be back in February. Let me just put it that way. I struggle with this decision because there is this algorithm thing, right? Where it's like the algorithm is gonna forget, and it's like, okay, I can remind that heifer when I get back. But anyway, I have to think to myself, like, do I want to be controlled by algorithms? And the answer is no. I do not. I would like to still be able to make my decisions the way I want to do it, write my narrative the way that I choose to, without being controlled by outside entities, dictating directions and timings and seasons. Because we talk about seasons a lot tonight, and being able to not allowing somebody to tell you that you ought to be in summer when you know damn well you really should be in fall right now. You know what I'm saying? But they try to convince you, nah, you in summer. No, you in summer. I'm in fall. And I don't have to be in summer because you in summer. You get what I'm saying? It's really a thing of discernment and knowing where you're at. And I was telling my aunt this months before that I'm really feeling within my spirit, retreat. You got to retreat. It's time to retreat. You know what I'm saying? And really understanding that, because sometimes when we retreat, we feel like we're going to be counted out. We feel like we're going to miss out. And so we feel like we're going to be forgotten. We feel like we're going to be a planet that just drifts off into the cosmos somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And nobody ain't going to be able to find us. But the reality is that you will be found as long as you find yourself. And that's the key thing. And the other thing to that is you're never lost. That's the other thing. And I wish more Black women will understand that we're never lost. There is nothing I need to go off and find myself. You need to come back to yourself. You need to remember yourself. You are never lost. Imagine you ever been looking for your keys or something like that, and all the while it's sitting right there on the damn table. That's the quest to find ourselves that we be engaging in as women. Imagine you searching all over the place, and the self that you're seeking is right there, has always been there. But because you're trained and you're socialized and you're educated, right? And you're programmed into constantly looking outside of yourself for the best of yourself, You never think to look within yourself to find yourself. You never think about, well, you know what? Let me look home first. Let me go home and check and see if my keys are there first. You got over to the dealership. Talking about, have y'all seen my keys? You know what I'm saying? And all the time the keys are sitting right in your house. So it's really just getting back to that, to where it's like, no, I refuse to be controlled by entities outside of myself. I am the God of my own universe, right? I decide if the sun is going to shine in this universe of mine or not, right? I decide that if it's going to be dark for a little while, I decide that. I decide that, there's a level of godship and the divinity that we all have. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. It's not necessarily saying that you are the God of this universe. You're the God of your universe. And that means that you get to create your own reality. You get to say, let there be light, and there is light in your universe. You get to say, let there be abundance, and there's abundance in your universe. That's the divinity we're talking about when we're talking about godships. As far as we're concerned, it's not to compete with this higher source, this creator, that this source that none of us really, really know. It's really getting to know you as source of your own reality. That's it. So for me, my channel, I'm gonna get to it now, Wireless Woman. So for me, I'm a fireball. I'm an Aries. My son's sign is Aries. Yeah, I'm a fireball. I know that. But I'm also someone that I live between worlds. I've always lived between worlds. And I am someone that can connect and take from one world and bring it into this world to help, to speak to someone, to awaken something, to provoke. Like that is what I don't even want to call it a gift. That is kind of what I've been given. And for me, what I'm learning when we talk about channels, we all have channels here. You know what I'm saying? Your channel should be a channeling of yourself. It is an extension of who you are. And so this is why I'm saying that. That means that on Wireless Woman, today, you might come with something else. You might bring fire, and tomorrow you might bring water, right? It doesn't mean that you are now switching. It means that now you are expressing a different part of yourself. I was talking to my aunt the other day and say your channel should look like your diary, your journey of yourself, your growth. Don't delete the videos. Leave it right there. So you can go back and be like, oh my gosh. Like, you ever read old poetry of yours and you'd be like, oh my God, I know exactly where I was at this point. Your journal entry, you're like, oh my gosh, I know exactly where I was. And it has nothing to do with a date. You mean psychologically, emotionally, you know exactly where you were during that season of your life. It's the same thing with your channel. So for me, my channel is a channeling of who I am, and I am sharing that part of myself with you. And so for me, there's a part of myself that I've been compromising, that I've kind of been pushing in the background, because I never want to come off as too deep. Because I feel it scare people away, and people be starting to think you're crazy. And it's like, no, I'm just going to lay it here. It might be 17 minutes long, not 2 hours. It might be 17 minutes long, but I'm going to come, I'm going to drop it, and I'm going to keep moving. My aunt and I was talking about it the other day. Just kind of like, okay, if I'm inspired to turn on the camera and talk, that's what I'm going to do. And if I'm not inspired, then I'm going to go about my business and probably sweep my bedroom and mop the floors and shit, whatever that is. But not allowing entities like algorithms and AI and shit and people to control how I want to write this thing, how I want to show up, how I want to express, to dictate my timeline, right? And so that when you talk about the shift in my channel, that's kind of what that's how I'm going to be moving. My channel is probably going to be more conversations like this, more around healing, spirituality, those two things. I'm still seeking out a name for the channel, I'm still working on that. But when I get the name of my channel, I am sure enough going to download it. I'm going to let y'all know I'm going to channel it. And it's going to come through. But right now, it's going to stay Hanifa Nayela. But that's kind of the shift that I'm making, that majority of who I am. And this is why my friends can come in this space and you hear them speak the way they do about me, because that's how I show up in my real life, right? I'm that person that's constantly like provoking thought and drawing stuff out of people and calling out of you. And calling your best self to the forefront. That's my function. That's the word I'm looking for, not my gift. It's my function. It's one of my functions. And so that's something I'm working on my channel and going in that direction. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. I know it was a lot, but I wanted to share that with you guys. But in closing, Let's talk about what you guys got from this conversation today and what you are looking to do going forward, whether it's your channel, personal life, whatever that is. What does that look like for you going forward, guys?
Okay, so I'll start. I did want to, my boo, he did put something in the chat that I just wanted to respond to. And it was going back to my chaotic ways, right?
Mm.
And he said you have to be cognizant of what you're dealing with. I knew who I was dealing with. It was my inner Tahuti that had to balance the equation. So that's one thing that I just wanted to address that, because I was like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Because he did know who the essence of who I was, right? Like he knew I wasn't like this devilish person, right? And he knew I had healing. He, I was very open of some of the things that happened to me before I entered the relationship. There were some things that some men would have walked away from dealing with some of the things that were happening before we even entered the relationship, because there was just some some traumas that I just had to heal from. And I've spoke about it numerous occasions about having a person like that balance, that balance within you, where you're like, okay, I know I had to heal. Because the thing is, I was 22, right? We were very young when we got. So at 22 years old, you're like, you don't know you need to heal. You're like, I got this all together. It took a lot of time for me, and I had to leave religion. It took me for me to understand that those toxic patterns that I've had within myself were just things I had to heal from. And then having that person, that space where they give you the ability to heal. So I'll just give this one example and move on. Is, for example, me coming into the relationship where there's residuals of where I had because I was a girl in high school where they called me Erykah Badu, because I wore, before wraps were a thing, wraps. Before natural hair was a thing, I was rocking my natural hair. And a lot of that had to do with because me getting my hair pressed and stuff like that, I was shedding hair. So I'm just gonna rock it natural. I had went to New York City. I saw this girl, she was rocking her natural hair. I was like, oh, that's cute. So that was who I decided to be in high school. And so, the Erykah Badu thing was not, they weren't saying that because they were giving me a compliment. They were just like, it was kind of like, I'm making fun of you because like, who you think you are, right? So, but there were men who I came into contact with who did not necessarily like the natural hair look. So when I got married, I had that safe space where he was like, no, I love your natural hair, right? So then I was able to fully more embrace my natural beauty, because he's like, yeah, I like the way that you look in your natural state. And so given that space where you're able to heal from that, because that's even a part of it, because you have certain things within you where you feel inferior, where you have to be able to heal from. So most men, they do look at you and say, okay, are you a woman who I can, you're going to be good for my children and all that different kind of stuff.
Right.
So the essence, the core of who I was, he understood.
Good men do.
But it was some other stuff that I had to heal from. And so him understanding, okay, she has to heal from this. There's some trauma there. And I don't even think those are the words he used, because we were both on this learning journey together. But those are some things that we had to learn together. And I think he had to always go back to, who is she? Why is this woman? This is the woman I desired to marry, because those are the conversations we had before marriage and stuff like that. So to your question, as far as where we want to go, where I want to take, there's so many, oh my goodness, there's so many things. I want to go back to the initial conversation we're having. Let go. What am I letting go of? I'm letting go of expectations that I have to show up like other content creators. Letting go of expectations of where.
That's a big one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I said that I said the same thing. It's just so funny. You know, you my sister, because I was just like, you said it out your mouth. I was like, yes. If I have nothing to talk about on Thursday night, I'm not talking about nothing. And so I want to have more conversations where I'm having conversations with my sisters, having conversations with brothers, and actually like building and involving conversations, different, different walks of how we may not agree on certain things, but we meet at one thing. Do we meet at the love of our Black people? So how do we communicate? If we meet at that, if we meet at you have a love for your Black people, then we're going to meet there and see how can we evolve those conversations. Yeah. How can we build with one another? And so that's what it is. Will I still have conversations on Thursday nights? Yes, but they might be one or two. I really want to have more one-on-one conversations, and having more conversations with elders and things like that. So I'm letting go of those expectations where I have to show up like other content creators because they have so many followers, and I want to be comfortable with having conversations with people I want to build with that are behind closed doors. Everything doesn't have to be seen. And so there was something else I wanted to say. I don't know
if it comes back to you, you can let us know. Okay. Wireless woman, you're up. And then we can get ready to close out.
Yeah, this was really good. Hanifa, I'm always appreciative of being able to come over here and have the safety that you create in your space for these conversations and for these discussions. That was one of the things that really connected us early on, is both of us kind of being in a lane of saying, okay, where do we go from here? And see, a lot of people don't know the conversations we have behind the scenes, because I was like, Hanifa, I think I'm beheaded this way.
Yes.
I was like, I think for me, it has been an evolution, because I started out selfish. I'm an only child. So this has always been me.
Okay.
This has always been me and my imaginary friend talking. This has always been me letting other people in to listen to the chaos that goes on inside my mind. And so, the Wireless Woman was formed out of that same social media journey, where I went on a social media fast that turned into a year and a month. And people do not know. That is you don't even want to come back. Okay.
No. Oh my God.
You get out there and you're like,
a whole stream on that one day, but go ahead.
You're like, you know what? This was it. Living what I call off the grid. And I've always been one that takes breaks. I was gone for 2 months from August to October, and was like, oh, well, and then I just came back and started doing content. Like, my microphone stopped working.
Of course, by the way, because you pumping them out right now. Yep. I can't even keep up.
Because I'm taking a break like you. I'm going to be out until February. That's why I was going to ask. I was like, is everybody taking a break? Because there must be something in the atmosphere.
No, ain't everybody, but go ahead.
But because I started out selfish like that early, and I tell people, how can I don't consider myself to be a leader, but how can I be promoting a wireless life if I'm plugged into this machine all the time? So I'm going to take a break. You ain't got to, but in the essence of staying true to what my original theme was, I'm gonna go. And then that way, when I come back, I can come back with a full basket of things that I found while I was gone.
Yes.
We can't pour from an empty cup. And
you cannot.
Going to what you said, my aunt, I think it's not only just about having the conversations with each other and seeing where our intersectionality is. I think we also have to meet Black people wherever they are along their journey. I can honestly say, in the places where you ladies have been and where you all have gone, it leaves a lane of people that just ain't gonna go that far. They just ain't gonna go there, you
Yeah.
know. And I am here to pick up those crumbs. I'm here to sprinkle petty dust into the room, you know, just to get some people to sneeze every once in a while. I'm here to throw a little dust in the room.
Yeah.
And that was for me, I had to accept that because I do look at other people's content all
Yes.
the time and be
Mhm.
like, geez, if I could kind of say it this way, maybe it would be more unifying. But what I think is the strength of what I can take from this or give, if I had anything to say, is that, you know, there have been nights I have gotten up and had, you know, 200 subscribers overnight. And then I drop a video and 150 of them are gone the next day. And
Is that YouTube or for real?
YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
I finally got a little TikTok thing going on. You know, the Black Girl
Okay.
Follow Train did me some justice over there. But, you know, I had a large following before because I was in entertainment. And I
Okay.
always think to myself sometimes like, okay, well, these were the things, but I was entertaining. My job was to be what people needed me to be instead
Oh.
of, you know, I was a mirror and a reflection of what they wanted to see. So
Mm.
in that going my own way, it has helped me to stay humble. And that's the one thing I would give you out of what I heard from what you said is when you ask yourself those questions, what would people want me to do? You know, should I stay on? Should I do those things? It goes back to what Nzinga was saying early on when she asked about, is this ego? And that's what going away allows you to be able to test. It allows you to sit back and say, am I ego driven? And when you can sit in that darkness, like you said, long
Yep.
enough, it will check that. That is the
Mhm.
balance. So look, me and you are both gonna end up being on that break till February. And I'm like you, I hope I'm coming back. But since I don't know, that's why I'm pumping out all this content. And
Yes.
I'm still small enough. I love these small beginnings because I had one video that hit real hard like that. I told you one day, and people were just following me. And
Mm.
the very next video I tried to make in that lane flopped.
Mm.
And that let me know, stay on your toes, you know, stay changing the content because until I find what I love, I'm not going to give anybody else what they want. I've got to give them, like you said, what's authentically
Yeah.
coming from me, or else I'm just an entertainer. And so many people
Mm.
like Kevin Samuels died in that. People always want to say now, like, oh, his content was like this when he started. His content was like this when he started. But when he hit a vein, when he got into the vein of that thing, the people that flocked to him weren't even his core demographic when he started. So I never want that to be the case with me. So going away allows us to bring back what we found instead of what people like.
I like the point of Maat, I'm sure you caught that one too. Is like you end up being are you an entertainer? You know, and and that is the difference is where the people dictate what you should give versus, you know what I'm saying? I think that's the difference where it ends up being a performance. And it's like it's really getting back to why are you here? You have
Yeah,
to
you
answer that
can't
question
give
for
out of the
yourself.
overflow. You can't give out of the overflow from that space if they are the ones that are, if it's flowing downhill to you as opposed to you being the one that's originating.
Yeah. So you gotta stay rooted in why you're here in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like what was your original like vision? And that and this we talking about this space, but that's in life. That's across the board. Just in general. You know, it could be a job that you're at. It could be in a relationship, it could be in a friendship that you're in. You know, it's sort of like what am I why am I here? What is happening? Why do I feel so depleted? And oftentimes if we were to examine those type of relationships where we feel drained and depleted, we find that people are constantly taking withdrawal and they're not making deposits. And it's important to really make that differentiation, like, hello, when the last time you dropped some coins? You know what I'm saying? When the last time you dropped some coins up in here? Because I've been depositing in you and you feel depleted because you're not, it's very one-sided. There's no reciprocity. There's no fair exchange, you know. I'll do a conversation on reciprocity too, because that's something that Spirit been dealing with me with us. But look, me and Spirit, we've been cool these days. You know what I'm saying? She been cutting up, but we've been cool. And I like my relationship. I like that I could talk about my spirit now as if she is one of my siblings. I love that. I love that our relationship has evolved to that extent, to where I can openly talk about her without feeling like I'm about to be written off as crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, no, Spirit talks to me every day, every single day, every moment of the day. And it's whether or not I'm listening. So, and I appreciate you guys for holding space for me to do so without judgment. I appreciate that. It's like Nzinga said, I be having some powerful women around me. I hope you guys know that you guys are some powerful women. You are not here by mistake. You guys are a part of whatever agreement I already made, probably in a life before. We met before, trust me. Trust me. This is not our first time meeting, y'all. And so I appreciate you guys for contributing to the remembering of myself. Thank you so much for that. And I know I'm contributing to the remembering of yourselves as well. You know what I'm saying? So in closing, guys, I want to say thanks for joining me. And until next time. Look, what is next time, wireless woman?
February. And I'm gonna drag you over to my channel because I think this break is gonna bring out some ratchet in you. I'm ready to expose you back to my audience over there. So yeah, we're gonna have a hot girl February.
It's too late because I've been cutting up behind the scenes, girl. Okay, I swear I have. But yeah, I appreciate you guys as usual. My aunt, you know what it is. If you need me, you know how to reach me. Same thing, wireless woman. Even though I'm on this break, you guys can email me. I will be deactivating all social media. I don't even need to see it.
What?
Yeah, I'll come back, but I'll
watching my
deactivate.
aunt's channel while we were off. We gonna be. I thought we was gonna be over there in my aunt's comments.
Oh, right, exactly. But I more than likely will be back. I'll be coming back with some goodies though, so I'm really excited about that. And I appreciate you, sister, my aunt, as usual. To get in touch with me, the wireless woman. I appreciate you. And I appreciate your content. I think you're one of the dopest freaking content creators out here right now. I just the way that you set up your stuff, and I didn't know this until you told us you went entertainment. And I could be like, I can see that now. I got it.
Yeah,
You
I'm a
know?
huge theater. Like yes, I lived on many, as Donny Hathaway would say, many stages. Acted out my life in many.
Yeah, I can see that now. I can see that. Once you met, I was like, okay, that makes sense. So I appreciate you guys and everyone that came through and hang out with us. I am going to say Happy New Year to you guys. I wish y'all much blessings to take with you into the new calendar year. May you be blessed. May everything that is attached to you be blessed. May your content be blessed going forward. Whatever you bring to the table, may it be blessed. And I wish abundance and good energy for you going into the new year. Until next time, guys, I'm going to say peace and blessing. Thank you, my aunt and the wireless woman. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys bow out. Peace and blessings.
Peace.
Okay. And peace and blessings to my chat, guys. Until next time. Love you guys. See you. I don't know when, but I'm sure we will meet again. All right, guys. Peace out.